gosh. Ooh. Oh my goodness, I'm full of fish. Good breakfast over here.
Daniel the Fisher. I just thought of that.
Oh my goodness, it's too hot in here. Ona gadi wahi ka jokwa, so what don't see us nyarni. Gazita Rio, you just go in the un dodget square in the star, no not the Roni. Retinu wada do gurunga gadi a gesso. Yet the sota as a tonka garakwa. Yet in the stars you unzagi on a guego scut and gunungwe. Retinu wada do sour year and it kundun hetzerat gawis. A guades and e ganiater geared on a guego or quadri on unco supa. Retinu wada do. Yet the sort of gunhan near down the headstone, they're gonna go rio to the Hawakwe. Damda we are on Hetzera because it's Tassera ne Ganungwe. Damda we are on Hetzera because it's Tassera ne. Asat ni got Dardige, Ganyaga Hagar, the Dinato, Donata Runi, Donna Riscarewage, Donna Damda we doing Gutsera, a Guego on a go to Guyana Russera go and Escana, Ori Wio, Gary or Gori Shunsera, Donna because it's Tassera. I don't Hetzera, Damda we. Ayuki at again ha dam dawe aron hetsera ne yorakwa wisti on zage gonna shunwe unwe. Okay, so as you know, every time we get together for council meeting, ceremony, anything of importance, we always have to carry out a Honda Gadi Wadekwa first. This is where we identify and give thanks to the things within creation that have created us and the things that we need to continue to sustain us. So we always begin by giving our thanks to the great spiral of creation. That when you look into the nighttime sky, you are not looking into cold, dark, empty, lifeless space the way that non-native science would lead you to believe. No, instead you are looking into the living, vibrant body of our great mother. And so we give thanks to her, to Sky Woman, as it is she who has given us spirit. From there, oh yeah. From there, we give our thanks to the beating heart of our Mother Earth, to Grandma Moon, as she who regulates the flow of the lifeblood in all things. And so we give thanks to her, to Grandma Moon, as it is she who has given us blood. And just to expand on that, this is something that we never defined when we say that she, the one that has given us blood. Of course, she is the one that regulates the tides, the ocean tides, the currents, everything that on a full moon, when she's right over you, that even the water in your body is gravitating towards her. The water in your eyeballs, in your brain. This is how much of pull that Grandma Moon has upon all liquid, all waters, in all the shapes and forms they come in. And so this is where we remind ourselves that water, blood, it's the water is the blood of our Mother Earth. So we know that Grandma Moon is the blood mover when we say of the beating heart, that it is the one she who moves the blood throughout the body, just like within our own heart, how we identify the heart that it's the blood mover, the water mover, the water of life. And so Grandma Moon also, so we speak of when we give thanks to the beating heart of Mother Earth, we are speaking of of all the waters in all the shapes and forms they come in. And of course, it's our to our benefit if we make sure that those waters are clean. As a matter of fact, it's not just to our benefit, it's a necessity. We must keep the waters clean, that every water merges together, whether it's water that we're drinking, whether it's water that's in rain form falling out of the sky, or if it's the clouds floating by, or if it's the ice, or if it's the water within you, the water within your bones, within your brain, within your living system. So all these waters all merge together at different times within the water cycle. So you, all waters flow through you, flows through your blood. Your waters flow through all creation. At one point, you're going to return to Mother Earth, and all of your waters, if any of you have ever experienced taking care of a loved one who has passed, then you'll know, you'll see how they dehydrate. you'll see, like with my father, we noticed something that I never was actually uh, noticed before is that the eyeballs dehydrate, that they start to cave in, that they you can see this within I think it's maybe about 7 to 8 hours within that time frame. So that means that water that was in my father's eyeballs, that's in your eyeballs, eventually that water is going to return to the living cycles of Mother Earth on some level, one regardless of whether it's in your lifetime right now, while you are alive in the body you are in, or if it'll be afterwards. All of our waters will merge. And so it is of the greatest importance to make sure that we take care of Agwades in Gerdo, that we take care of all the waters that you don't want. Let's say if you're poisoning a water right now, that you know that somewhere in the cycle, let's say 10 hours from now, you're going to come back around and you're going to have to drink that. Well, then this is where you must think, do I want to drink poison water? So my actions right now, today, right now in this moment, is going to depend on how clean the waters are or will be that I will consume in the very near future, or maybe 20 years from now, or maybe even at the end of my life. But regardless, all waters, even the waters flowing within your body, all liquids, the liquid within your brain, that when your brain is when different chemicals are released within it, of course, it all absorbs everything. Like if when you think of the current issue of lead poisoning at the Ganawagi Survival School in the Sugar Shack, you know that this get if you drank that water, it takes 5 to 8 seconds for that to enter your bloodstream. So once it's in your bloodstream, you know that it's in your brain, in the water in your brain, in the chemicals that are released in your brain. So if you're poisoning something right now, then eventually it's going to mean bad water in your brain. You will be causing your own mental issue defect, like imagine if it was just dirty water, then your brain won't be able to function, you won't be able to think properly. So we must all take care of Agwades ini Ganyatra Gerdo like as if it is our own lifeblood. Anyways, from there we give our thanks to, where did I go? Uh, from Grandma Moon to Mother Earth, regardless of what color you are, what language you speak, where you've grown up from Mother Earth, we all come from the same mother, making us all one family, sisters, brothers, all relations, all together. And so we must together take care of the waters. We can't leave it to one person. We can't leave it to, let's say, uh, the brown people. We can't leave it to the white people or just the black people or the yellow people or whatever other people. No, all of us have the responsibility of doing this together, which means we must uh, communicate together the knowledge of the waters, the purpose of the waters, what our interaction with the waters are. We must all share this together so that we all know the same thing, and so that we're all functioning the same way. Because what good is it if like right now, if I can poison water, but I don't, because I want to drink water 10 hours from now? What good is that if I'm taking care of it, if the person right next to me is poisoning the water? What good is it if the person 2 people over from me is poisoning the water, but me and the person next to me are taking care of our waters and we're saying, oh, our waters are nice and healthy because we're taking care of it? No, it's an illusion that you can get your own personal happiness, but your personal happiness within the greater body of the world, you can be the best, happiest person on earth, but right next to you, or the country you're a part of, is at war. So it's relative, of course, to our perception. So we must expand our perceptions of our interaction with water. That, of course, everybody has heard water is life. Yeah, everybody knows that. Yeah, and everybody says it, water is life. But then the immediate actions of everybody undermines what they say of water is life. So you think, okay, we must protect the waters. Well, as you know, we said many times this one simple thing, which seems impossible for people to get over. If you talk about protecting the waters, then you look at where everybody goes to the bathroom. You go to bathroom in the water. Now, if you're living in a 30-story apartment building, well, there's nothing you can do about that. You got to go to the bathroom in the water. It gets flushed in the water system. It gets brought into wherever the sewage, wherever it ends up ultimately. No matter how much they clean it, it ends up right back in the river. So all of us must be very astute as to, or not astute, align ourselves with our beliefs. Our actions must align with our beliefs. So if our belief is water is life, we got to protect it, well, then stop pooping in the water. Number one, stop peeing in the water. Can you do that? Not everybody can have an outhouse where you're not peeing in the water, you're not pooping in the water. But the larger society cannot get over that issue of that it's the way that people live. Basically, a city environment is not conducive to humanity because the city environment demands that water is treated as a isolated first. So you think of there's water flowing free in the river. Let's go have a drink. Go to the river like we used to do and drink right out of the river. That water is exposed to all the energies, all the powers. If you think of a lot of people identify moonlight, moonlight will activate water for a certain thing. If there was a thunderstorm with lightning, then that would activate water for a different thing also, but activate it with lightning hitting the water. But in the non-native world, with the development of cities, which is a corruption, then you isolate the water. You isolate the water, it's not evolving like up to the minute, up to the second with the creation around it. It's isolated, it's enclosed. It's enclosed into some tank somewhere and then through pipes and then the lead line pipes for most of the world. And then into your toilet bowl. And then the only exposure it gets to external is when it's laying there in your toilet bowl. And then you poop in it. And then you pee in it. And then that goes back into that closed system where again, it's not evolving up to the second. It's like water that is taken out of an evolution process. Let's say if evolution is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then water, when you pull it out and put it into that contained system, well, evolution is going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then water is going 1, 2, and it's staying at 2. So it goes and creation goes to 4, 5, 6 by the time the water gets back into the living systems. So what we are actually doing within the corruption of cities, that we are affecting time, the evolution of water, affecting its as it evolves within with the rest of creation, then it's like we're taking bits and chunks of time out of it. So it's like, imagine your life is if you got to 5 years old and you were isolated, and let's say we took a year out of your living experience. Well, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, hey, nothing. And then you continue at what would be 6, but it would be where everybody else would be at 10. So you'd be like a 6-year-old around 10-year-olds, but the day before, or to your memory prior to that, it's like you're with people at the same age as you, the same growth as you. But when you get pulled out of it, then you're shortchanged. So this is what we are doing to the living water. And when this happens and we drink it, then you just think of the energy that is going into us. It's not that evolved water. it's a water of basically like confusion. It's a water of different levels of evolution where it's kind of like having hot and cold at the same time. You know, you go, oh, you're burning your tongue. Oh, and at the same time, it's too cold, it's freezing your teeth or whatever. You know, that's this is what we are doing to waters. Okay, so from there we give our thanks to our ancestors that carried a good mind, and we ask them to help us to return our mothers back to their natural seat of authority within all of our nations so they can manage all of our people properly once again. This goes not only for the Ganyangahaga because we're a matrilineal people, we've been established this way for over 2,000 years, but really since the beginning of time. What has been since 2,000 years is the Great Law of Peace, solidifying matrilineal as power and authority in this world in the legal sense, in the, say, governing sense. From there, we ask our ancestors to help us to return the true spirit of the turtle, wolf, and bear, the three universal clans of the Ganyangahaga that are everywhere on Earth, what the non-native world knows as protons, neutrons, and electrons. Of course, turtle, wolf, and bear gives you a better understanding of an electron. Did you ever bite an electron when you're having a hamburger? Can you identify it? No, you can't. Do you see an electron anywhere in the trees, a proton? Do you see it in the mountains? When you know turtle, wolf, and bear, then you can see traits and you can see movements and actions. And then you can see in that tree, turtle, wolf, or bear, you can see the trait within it. You can see that trait within the people, within your friends, your loved ones, when you understand that the sacred tree that is on the turtle's back, which the non-native identifies as the molecular level. Of course, this is something that everybody knows. Every society knows this. It's just that modern science is what makes us all dumb. Rewords our common knowledge that we've had since the beginning of time and puts these big fancy words on it that it kind of breaks our brain, wondering what the hell are they talking about? Well, they're talking about the place in your brain where decisions are made, but they call it something else, whatever, some kind of fancy name that nobody can understand. And so this is what science does. It takes away our evolved knowledge of creation, our up to the minute knowledge, and isolates it, hoards it within a so-called academia system that you got to be within that system to be authority or to be even just listened to. Your average person can't say, hey, we're poisoning the water. You got to have an expert say, hey, we're poisoning the water, and it's because of this, it's because of this. Where the average person knows it, you drink it, you see it, you're the one involved in it, you can identify this is wrong. But today, we are locked into some crazy kind of academia system that has a hierarchy that even if you have the truth, 100% right here at the bottom levels where the society is, and you can say this is what has to, whatever, you're addressing anything. Well, even if it's 100% true, it's not going to make a damn bit of difference to anyone or anything. It's got to go up that hierarchy level within the academic system for them to prove it the same way that they established the existence of an atom. What everybody knew and understood, they had to kill to comprehend it. Oh, and then it was an atom. It's like we say all the time. You see a bunny rabbit hopping around in a backyard. We say that's a bunny rabbit. Modern science says, no, we got to prove that it's a bunny rabbit. So they got to get it and they split that bunny rabbit in half and they look inside and there's a little bunny rabbit lung and bunny rabbit heart and different stuff and bunny rabbit legs. Oh, and then they confirm it is a bunny rabbit, but now it's a dead bunny rabbit. So we don't have to use a backwards reverse technology to comprehend things. What we must do is have a conducive academia system that an academia system that is conducive with the environment from which we grew. We are the extension of it, so that means we are the living scientists of it. So, as within the issue of the lead coming from TerraPure around the Ganawagi Survival School, as we all know, that Gazitza Howie and Kirby Daibo have been pushing this issue now for the last 2-3 years. I'm not really certain how long, and I doubt if they even remember how long, because it seems like they've just been doing it forever. But it's gotten to the point of where it's forced things. it's caused like a domino effect, a domino reaction and other things to the point of where, as everybody remembers here in Ganawagi, if you're in Ganawagi or you've been with us, you know that 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, the Ganawagi Education Center put out a statement saying that they were shutting down the sugar shack production at the current site of the Ganawagi Survival School. And this means, of course, because there was lead in it, that in order for lead to be in the maple waters, this means that the trees are not sucking that water out of the ground. It's not in the ground. It's in the current snowfall just this season. Just this season. And with the way that things have melted and gets warm and cold, so we can say it's not even really from the whole season. It's from sometime just within a last couple of month period, like a small chunk of time. But when you think of this small chunk of time, butted up against the chunk of time before it, and then the one before it, and the ones after, then what we have is a continuous exposure to lead, the neurotoxin of lead. And a continuous exposure to it, of course, it's no good for anybody. There is no good levels of lead to be exposed to. If you're exposed to a pencil, then you are already exposed to dangerous levels of lead. So in the past, that when we were kids, lead pencils, everybody used to chew on the pencils. Everybody got affected one way or another until the point where I guess through EPA or stuff like this, they stopped making lead pencils. Well, what's the good in stop making lead pencils if the schools themselves are still lead lined, if they are still right on top of neurotoxin sludge pit of lead, a soup of lead. Okay, so this is what's been exposed at the Ganawagi Survival School. Is Curry here? Is Curry with us?
Yeah, him and Daniel are there.
Okay, so Daniel Green is with us also tonight. So from what I hear, there's some new development. I know that I got contacted last night by a reporter from what do you remember?
Journal de Montréal?
Journal de Montréal.
Nora.
Nora.
La montagne.
Yeah, Namatang. She contacted me last night and asked for a few things, so I forwarded her a brief description of what we are experiencing. Ganawagi has experienced social engineering, and the social engineering comes first from the neurotoxin of lead, putting a school on top of that sludge pit of neurotoxins. You don't put a school where there's known lead, a source of lead poisoning. So anyways, first the people exposed to this, from the time that you're 12 years old till the time you're about 16, 17 in some cases, so 4 or 5 years from the time that you're 12, you're exposed to lead. And what took place at the Ganawagi Survival School is that everybody from the survival school was ushered right into the 207 Warrior Society. And from 1980 to 1990, ushered into radicalization at the Warrior Society House. And everybody in Ganawagi knows that by the time of 1990 got here, just about every teenager over 16 here in Ganawagi had their own AK-47. They were socially engineered into that scenario. And so from there, the purpose of that social engineering was to get everybody to the point of where you're just angry. You don't have the mind capabilities to address the things you're angry about. And so the attack upon our nation as a whole, everybody just saying, hey, the only solution is pick up a gun. They were socially engineered into that so that they'd be in a confrontation with the army, where for the first time in history, the Ganyangahaga Nation, the Mohawks, have been confronted in a military skirmish and lost. But it's not true. We were socially engineered into that. And so this is the end result of environmental and industrial racism. All of these things combined, along with the native self-government policy, working with the genocide compliant ban system, they are implicated in the social engineering of the Ganyangahaga, and in particular of the Ganyangahaga of Ganawagi. It is like this everywhere. You go to any reserve, and you're going to find some kind of industry that's a neurotoxin for the people. So, anyways, this is what I gave a brief explanation to the reporter last night about. It's not just environmental racism, it's social engineering that is taking place here. And that is not so far-fetched for anybody to think that, hey, that's out of left field. Do not forget about the British church Nazis concentration camps on native children, kidnapping children and bringing them into a reprogramming center, and that if they did not comply, they were killed. They were terrorized. And don't forget that before that, it was the smallpox-infested blankets. Now, those smallpox-infested blankets, it did not come from here. It came from Europe. They had to ship that over the great waters on their pirate ships to bring it here, which was through their military, and then distributed through the priests. So what we are seeing here in Ganawagi is a continuation of what we all know is systemic racial genocide. But the particulates, the little movements of it, we can now identify social engineering. There is no denying it. All the evidence is there in front of our face. Okay, anyways, with that, the stage being set, Daniel, welcome for being here. I know there's something new, so I'll just leave it open for you to go ahead and address. Now we'll go on.
Thank you, Stuart, and thank you for your support in bringing forward, as you say, this environmental injustice that has happened to your people. I can't comprehend how this could have happened. It boggles the mind that authorities would permit the construction of a school in an area known to be contaminated with lead. It goes against every human right, toxicological, public health principle. It's not like they didn't know it. We've known about the bad relationship between lead and children and the neurological effects on their behavior, on their learning abilities. It's well documented. We've known about lead contamination since the Roman Empire. A lot of people believe that the Romans, using plates and glasses laden with lead, because lead was a flexible metal, and it made plates and glasses easier. And mixed with wine, it was the delivery method of lead to Roman antiquity. And so we've known about lead and lead contamination for thousands of years, and yet it did not prevent the event that happened in your community, where some peoples decided to build a school in an area of lead deposition. So damage has been done. Now we have to document it and see if we can't repair it in some way. In the practical sense, the information that has come out, and this is being confirmed, well, people in the community, especially in the governance body, your environmental office, the school board, in Ganawake, of course, the council, knew about lead contamination in soil, both at the old KSS and now the new KSS. Sampling has been done. What I've heard, and this will be confirmed, is that the reason why they moved the campus to the current campus was because of lead contamination of soil. I do not know at the time if there was any testing of the kids at the school. But one thing is certain: there has to be complete transparency by the authorities in Ganawage so we could get access to the concentrations of lead in the soils. If we can do that, if we can know what was the concentrations in the 80s and the 90s and the 2000s, there's a way to use calculations to try to predict what could be the body burdens of lead in the kids that went to school there. It doesn't replace an analysis of blood or of other tissue, but it's an approximation. On that issue, on the issue of saying what were the levels of exposure of the kids at the OKSS site, there is one way to find out. If anybody in the community kept their teeth, if they fell out naturally or if they were extracted by a dentist, we can test for lead in the teeth. And lead concentrations in teeth can give us approximately what were the concentrations in the blood and what were the exposures that could have caused damage. So if there's anybody listening to me tonight, if you have old teeth that you've kept, and I know some people like to keep their teeth as mementos, and it would be important for us to have those teeth, identify, of course, when the teeth were extracted or lost, and we may be able to test lead in those teeth if people still have them. So two things that have to be done: find out if there's any teeth around. Number two, find out if and ask the authorities to divulge all information on soil concentrations historically at the two campuses. This has to be done relatively immediately so we can start trying to evaluate what were the exposure levels. The second thing, and this happened literally this week, we found out that Environment Canada has been active on the site, in the campus site, to my understanding is to establish a sampling a monitoring station. Environment Canada around the world are known for being experts in air monitoring. So this is good news that the federal government may be committing themselves to establish a measurement station to measure what is coming off of the Terra Pure site in your community. But there has to be accountability on the measurement. Environment Canada has to commit to make public all information of sampling that they get the moment it becomes available. They could argue that the data has to be looked at by experts. Well, I've been looking at air data for 40 years, so maybe I don't consider myself an expert, but I have enough expertise to read sampling results. And there are other people that can help us also. So it would be very important for the land defenders to demand from Environment Canada that any sampling done be immediately communicated to the people of Ganawake. They have the right to know. They are the ones who are being exposed, so they have the right to know what they're being exposed to and where. And so those are the two messages that I would like to, deliver this evening.
Daniel, do you know how long Environment Canada has been there?
They were there yesterday.
Was that the first time?
This I do not know. I know they were there yesterday.
Okay, so what we need to know is how long they've actually been monitoring the site. We have to, so Kirby, we gotta compose a letter from the Ganyagahaga land defenders requesting this, like what Daniel said. We want to know how long they've been on the site, what prompted them to go to the site. Is it simply just because of the lawsuit that they're taking upon TerraPure, or was it some intervention upon request by maybe the band system or whoever. So we need to have facts about this because it would make a difference if it's just because of the case that the Fed has against TerraPure. Then we'd have to wonder, well, how come there's still no compliance here in Ganawagi? Daniel, when you think from the meeting that we had 2 weeks ago or last week, whenever that was,
last week.
everything that was identified is not a matter of fiction. This is all a matter of fact. Now, once they identified within their education system, their Department of Education identified enough lead to shut down the sugar shack production, then again, any genius can figure out that that's from this year's snowfall. So that meant it's in the air and it's getting trapped in the snow and it's brought to the earth. And then when it melts, pulled up into the tree, because this time of year, the permafrost beneath is still frozen. It's not pulling up water yet. So it tells you that it is solely from this year's snowfall. And like we said, given how warm it is, and then a lot melts and then snows again. So we can be looking at that. This is really only a small concentration, or the concentration is from a small period of time. And like we said, if it's exposed over a long period of time, then even if it's just a minute amount that they discover there, again, everybody knows there is no safe level of lead for the kids to be exposed to. I cannot believe that the Ganawagi, the Ed Center, the band system, I cannot believe that they have not called for an emergency something, emergency evacuation of that school. And I still maintain that since it really attacked, if they're saying that it's so minuscule, the concentration, then to protect the children who are affected by it more, I say that there needs to be the children removed from there, brought into a safe space here in Ganawagi, to change the band system offices. They're building a court right near the Peacekeeper station because they're saying they don't want non-natives coming right into the village. Well, they're coming right in here if the court's going to be right here, that's right in the village. So what they should do is redirect in an emergency situation, redirect the funds that they're going to put in to build a new courthouse when they don't need one, redirect those funds to facilitate this exchange. Put the court out there in the survival school complex with the band system. It makes sense because it's one big complex of their bureaucracy, would then be right next to their whatever that building is, that new building next to the current survival school. So they got a complex there that they can all be in one spot, the band system, their court, everything, and redirect those funds that they're using right now to be all isolated and buy up different parts of land and take up the land of Ganawagi, to redirect those funds and bring those children into Ganawagi. This is the emergency measures that should be taken immediate. There should not be any prolongation of like a resistance to accepting what the facts are. The facts are zero amount of lead is what you should be exposed to. The fact is they said there's this much. So that should cause an immediate evacuation of that school. But again, if they maintain that it's not that high, then move all of the band system, move the PKs, move the court all out there, where if they're not so concerned about it, then at least they can do this good effort to save their children. So Daniel, this is what we're pushing, to have an immediate solution to the children that are being exposed at the survival school. When you hear that there's lead found in a school area, school zone, school, anything with the school, maple and the trees, water, anything, ground. When you hear that, do you think it's safe or smart to keep letting the children stay there?
Yeah. We know that a good part of exposure to children, because they're smaller, they're closer to the ground, and kids, of course, play around, and we want our kids to be active outside. Um, my immediate concern is, and this is why it's important to get lead levels in the soil now, is to reduce the exposure of the kids when they start playing in that area. I know there's a track, there are fields for lacrosse, soccer, whatever, um, and before we let kids play there and do school activities there, it should be tested to make sure that the kids are not exposed between May and June by playing outside in the school area, in the high school area. This should be done quickly. A lead test is relatively fast. It's not expensive. To do a specific lead test, we talk about maybe $40, $50 a sample. It's not that expensive. And it should be done. And then a decision has to be made based on that sampling what sections of the outside portion of KSS should not be used by children this summer to avoid any more lead exposure to the kids.
Okay, so then it's crucial, it's vital that we contact Environment Canada immediately. We'll jump on that tomorrow and get the ball rolling to find out what the information is, that they share it with us immediately, see what kind of testing they're doing. If you could forward on to Kerry like the proper question for us to ask them, if they're doing this kind of testing or whatever, then we'll incorporate that in the document of communication to them. So
yes, I can do that
tomorrow.
Yep, I will do that.
Okay, so Kerry, this is what we got to work on tomorrow. Whatever time you are available, we're available. Maybe we can even set up a call. So Daniel, if we set up a call, would you be willing to, are you available to be involved in that phone call?
Yes, the phone call will be between whom?
I don't know if we can set up a call between Environment Canada, anybody,
Oh, yeah. Yes, I'm going to try and find out who exactly at Environment Canada is involved in this, trying to get a name. I know that it was the team from Ottawa. It wasn't the team from Quebec. It was a team from Ottawa that came to Ganawage yesterday.
Ooh, okay. That tells me something about concern then. Because when we think of that school being placed there, there's three parties that conspired. The federal government, Department of Education, whoever, and that means that if they're going to build a school, there's got to be Environment Canada, there's got to test the soils, whatever, see if it's safe there. There's got to be some kind of assessment. And then the province, and there's got to be somebody from same level within the province in environmental assessments, whatever, within the education system. Anybody, and then the band system here, which would mean the elected mayor and officials. So there is conspiracy. Like we said, this is social engineering. It's by design. So the fact that you're saying that Environment Canada from Ottawa is there, this shows me that they're paying attention, they're listening to what we're saying and what we're identifying, and they're getting concerned because there's it's a smoking gun here. We can point it, we can backtrack it directly to the Fed, the Department of Education, and again, their environment. So they're on right now. What's happening is we got them on the ropes. Then they're concerned. They're worried because this is a mega lawsuit. It's mega. This is epic in its effects upon just one selected, targeted ethnic group, cultural group, the Mohawks of Ganawage. And there is no denying this now. So when we say systemic racial genocide, environmental and industrial racism. This is to the highest levels here. The proof is there. The smoking gun is the current survival school. The grounds there is the smoking gun. Okay, so we'll get on that. Whatever information that you think is pertinent, what we should add in there, we're gonna ask this like maybe a technical question or whatever. Then if you can send that to Curry, and then what we'll do is when we got a draft, we'll run it by you first so that you can check the technicalities to say, well, maybe this sounds kind of dumb, take it out, like that kind of thing. So we'll make sure that it's something that is solid by the time it gets to whoever it needs to get to in Environment Canada. Okay,
Yes.
so we'll keep you informed. If they do agree to a phone call, then we're going to contact you and we'll do a group phone call.
Good.
And maybe even do it live online. So,
well, knowing
we'll
federal
be
bureaucrats, you probably wouldn't accept. But anyway, you can try and ask federal bureaucrats to go live online. But we could certainly do a call with them. Of course, they have to accept. But in the meantime, I'll try to identify who should be called. And I'll let Kerry know, and Kerry will inform.
Let me know what time tomorrow, and I'll be there.
Yeah,
whatever.
We'll start the first draft.
Yep.
So
Curry, whatever.
anytime. Well, earlier the better. Maybe it should coincide with Gohandigari Wadekwa right after morning address.
Early in the morning, I don't know about that. Man, I'm thinking maybe around 10-ish or 11-ish. Somewhere in there.
We have to find out who to address the letter.
Yeah.
If we address the letter to the minister, it'll end up in a black hole. We have to identify the bureaucrat who's on this case and send this to that bureaucrat. In my opinion.
Yeah. Well, we can get the letter started and add the names later. That's not a problem.
Yeah.
Maybe in my mind, there should be 2 letters written. One to Environment Canada, the Ottawa team, or whoever they may be, and I think it's time that Terra Pure gets introduced to the Kanyakahaga land defenders.
What we would need from Terra Pure is the information of their stacks, how tall they are, what temperature is the gases, what is the velocity of the gases. This will permit us to calculate where it falls out on Ganawage land. Well, that is important is that if Environment Canada wants to do testing, they have to put that tester where the maximum fallout is to really identify what is coming from Terra Pure. One way to do that is to do calculations to find out a stack, a velocity, a speed, and where it falls out on Ganawake. And that will help us get the real measurements and the highest measurements of their fallout. So it would be even beneficial. So maybe that could be an ask. I know that Terra Pure has to provide that information when they get their permit from the provincial government. And they've been given a permit recently in less than a year. So now if Terra Pure doesn't want to give it to us, we may have to ask the Quebec Environment Department to give us the information that Terra Pure has given them to get their permit. So there's a lot of moving parts here, but slowly but surely, we should be able to figure out how this is happening.
Okay, so I think we can do one very diplomatic letter that could go to all parties concerned, and we asking them for their assistance. So we'll work on that tomorrow. But just so that everybody knows and understands what Daniel is saying here about the smokestacks, think of an umbrella. Like if you got an umbrella, you know it's holding the rain off of you, and that it's going to push all the rain to a certain end, to the end of the umbrella, you know, to the perimeter of the umbrella. So the smokestack has, depending on time of year, you know, the pressure, barometric pressures and that, then the umbrella of that smokestack will be at different what's the word I'm looking here? It'll be at a different parameter. The parameter will sometimes it'll be small. It might be maybe just for example, might be maybe a couple of 100 feet around the smokestack, and then at other times it could be up to 1,000 feet, because where it is right now being detected at the current survival school. I don't know if there's been a measurement like to say in feet, but when you look at the satellite image, I'm guessing it's somewhere around within 1,000 foot boundary, you know, from the smokestack to where the current school is.
Yeah,
So
we do know.
that's-
We do know because of current testing, the KIPO has a particulate sampler at KSS. And the recent data that I looked at, because we got access to that data, shows that the highest particulate concentrations measured at KSS comes from when the wind is blowing from Terre Pure to KSS, the current campus. So we already have an indication that a lot of particulates are falling on KSS from the wind direction from Terre Pure, and there's nothing else in the area. And so, yes, there's a car scrap company, but so we have kind of preliminary data to show that the particulates are coming from Terre Pure. Now we have to figure out, is there lead in these particulates? And that is the important why we need a sampler to sample not just the particulates, but also to sample the particulates so we can analyze what's on these particulates. And one element that we'll be looking at is the lead in these particulates falling off now currently at KSS.
So then it makes me think that another thing we would need to contact Environment Canada about is for wind patterns. Because I know that just a couple of nights ago, I was standing outside after midnight and the wind was blowing precisely from that direction. When you know the shape of Ganawagi, you know, where I am standing on top of the hill here in Ganawagi, the wind was blowing from, for anybody who knows and understands this, from the back of the quarry right towards me. So that means that's right in line with Terra Pure. So at different wind velocities, wind shifts, all of Ganawagi is exposed to it. Not just the survival school, all of Ganawagi.
Environment
And
Canada
when
should.
you think of smokestacks.
Sorry. Environment Canada should install a met station at the place of sampling. And so we'll get real data from the real wind patterns between Terre Pure and Ganawake. And if one thing that Environment Canada does well, it's installing met stations because they have the meteorological services. So you have a sampler and you have a met station measuring wind direction, wind velocity, and so we'll be able to really have good data and to prove that when the wind is going from Terre Pure, we'll see if we could do a connection, wind from Terre Pure, high lead concentrations falling out in Ganawake. So that is what I hope Environment Canada is going to do. If Environment Canada doesn't do that, I've been speaking with Kerry, and we may be able to do it over the course of the summer by renting sampling equipment and doing our own sampling if Environment Canada doesn't deliver.
I based on everything that you just said, I suggest something to everybody in Ganawagi. Get a weather vane. Get a weather vane in your yard, and get like the GPS positioning, whatever, you know, align your wind vane, your weather vane with TerraPure so that you'd know when you could tell when the wind is blowing this way, from directly from TerraPure. Everybody, we should place this at different, not elevations, but in different areas of Ganawagi, say like down by the hospital. One there, probably not getting much there. Place one by the school up the hill here, probably getting a lot there. Place one right on top of the hill here, right by our place, and then another one maybe halfway to Chattagee on the 138. You know, this way we'll know like the say like the flow of the river, so to speak. You know, where it's running the fastest. So the wind patterns, where it's running the fastest, who and what segments of Ganawagi is really exposed to it the most. So everybody start to take note of this. I know where, because I checked on the map, you know, on the satellites, I know where TerraPure is positioned from my house, and I know a couple of nights ago when I was outside, the wind was blowing straight at me, right from TerraPure. So these are things that just, even if you don't have like a air monitoring device, at least a weather vane, so that you know when these events are happening, and then it could align with other measurements that are that we end up taking, other scientific data. So just to say that, well, at this day the water was flowing over here. You know, it's like if you got a water hose and we're talking about where it's splashing, then we could say at this time it was right there. You know, so anyways, it might not be the best data collection mechanism, but it would be good for every individual to know, just for you to know, to be aware. Being aware is it could put your mind at ease. You know, it could lessen the stress upon you. So just a matter of all of us working together to do this. Okay, so Daniel, Nyawagoa,
Yes.
thank you so much. If you
Thank you.
can, the device that you said, I forget what you called it. If you can put that also in the email to send to Curry, because we're gonna forget. We're all lead brained over here, so we
I got it. I got it.
still, if you can include it in the letter that you're gonna send to Curry, as
I
to
will.
the different things that we gotta. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Nyawagoa.
Thank you for having me. And I'm not going anywhere. And again, I'm committed helping you and helping solve this sad event of environmental and people contamination. I hope that my help will help resolve this issue and help with healing ultimately. Thank
Very
you,
good.
Stuart. Thank you, Kerry, and we will talk.
Before
Thanks a
you
lot,
go,
Daniel.
Case, we'll put out there is if anybody has any question that anybody wants
Oh,
to
well,
put
yeah,
forward
sure.
to Daniel. If not, there's only a few of us here. Maybe take a quick look on anything on Facebook if anybody's saying anything. So this way, if you're in Ganawagi and you have something that you want to say to Daniel, say, "Oh, we don't believe you" or whatever, you know, then here's the opportunity to address direct. Okay, so there's only a few people here. Nobody's got their hand up. There's nothing on Facebook.
No.
Okay, Daniel, we're gonna have to move on from this subject.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Wow,
so
it's
much,
really, it's really.
and we'll stay in touch. Have a good evening. Bye.
Okay. So we'll go. Okay, so from here, this thing, it really gets me like the adrenaline flowing. So it's like I don't know, it's almost like being involved in a hunt. You know, like that's all you want to do. That's all you want to focus on. So right now, I know there's other things that I wanted to adjust, but I can't even think of what they are now. So if there's anything that anybody wants to address, anything that anybody wants to bring forward, now's the time.
Before you move on to Stuart, that's exactly what we are. We're pollution hunters. We're trackers. We're gonna eliminate this. Not only them, whoever is causing harm to our people in and around Gotnawaga, it's time for you to be dealt with. It's a simple thing. It's not a mystery. Now go.
Yo, so this means everybody in Ganawaga has to, everybody has to come out on this issue. It's not something that you can vote for somebody and they're gonna address it. This is something that's attacking your family right now. It's attacking your children right now. Last week we said everybody should remove their children out of the survival school right now. You should demand homeschooling. You should demand even funding for homeschooling. It should be there. Environment, Canada or whoever, the Education Canada, whatever the hell they're called, they should be providing the emergency provisions to deal with this circumstance to protect our children, to save them from the exposure to neurotoxins at the most critical stage of their lives. We could say, well, babies, most critical. Yeah, but you don't see any babies all gathering around out at survival school. So you know the age group that it is. It's a set age group. 12 years old. I know that 12 years old is a crucial time in the development of a young boy because I experienced that. I went through it. I know. I don't need I don't know, some kind of social study or something like to tell us, hey, yeah, 12 years old is a crucial time in your child's development. I know that. I conveyed this story, and you might think, well, this doesn't have anything to do with it. It kind of does have something to do with it. When I was 12 years old, standing around in the circle of my friends, they were smoking cigarette. And the girl that I liked, it was passed to her, and then she passed it to me. And I took it because of social pressure. Anyways, I smoked for 2 weeks. And in the same circle of friends, when it came time for that girl that I liked to pass me the cigarette that I had interaction with because we were smoking, she was smoking, I was smoking. So, hey, I had interaction with the girl that I liked. When she came to pass it to me after 2 weeks, I said no. And then there was no more interaction after that. So I know that at a young age, it's very hard for anybody at that age, to make the proper decision themselves. So this is where adults must step in. Now, for me at that age, it's because of my mother's teachings that I knew not to keep smoking. So just imagine anybody else, like people who have been addicted to smoking all their lives, like addicted, like 2-3 packs a day or something, or however much, I don't know. Like imagine if when you just started, if you had the ability after 2 weeks to say no to it, to stop it, to not participate in your own suicide any longer, those who are addicted to smoking cigarettes all their lives, you know how hard it is. So it is crucial for elders who can supposedly think to come out and to make these proper decisions for our children. And when I say our children, I ain't got no kids there, but my nephew goes there. And when you're there and you're in the school environment and everybody's learning and talking and communicating, you can't see what the lead is doing to you. You're just thinking life is usual, life is normal, like there's no problem here. You can't see it because if it deteriorates, let's say if there's 100 parts of your brain and it deteriorates one part of it, you cannot detect that. But the fact is that's what lead does. Any exposure, any amount, that's what it does. So even if it was taken away, let's say down to whittled away at your brain over 4 years, 5 years of being in school, where now you only got 25% left of your brain, then you're still not going to detect that. It'll be impossible for the victim to be able to identify that they're even a victim. It'd be literally impossible for anybody who's been subjected to that to just all of a sudden start thinking that and deduce that, yeah, I'm affected by it. Because the first thing that kicks in is denial. Nobody wants to have that because it kind of sounds like the person could be stupid. No, if it attacks your neural systems, it's not that you're stupid. It's that you, if you're able to address it, that you still have enough of your brain left to be able to deduce based on common sense. So this is what I know that people are fighting. They're fighting against their own internal denial mechanisms that prevents them from taking the action. This afternoon, I told my niece, you got to take your son out of school right now. And I know she heard me, but she's not going to take her son out of school. I mean, when you think about this, any single mothers in Ganawagi, can they take their children out of school? Especially if they're working, or even if you're not working, if you got everything else in your life, can you take your children out of school? Bring them home? Do homeschooling? No, you cannot afford it. So you just think, or don't think, and just leave your children there, exposing them to something that is going to debilitate, even undetectable in this life, but in the next, because it affects the reproductive system. It goes direct to the neural system, the central nervous system, direct to the reproductive system. It goes and to the respiratory system. So it goes and attacks all of our crucial, all of our vital living systems. This isn't anything to play around with. You wouldn't play around with your children like that, would you, Ganawagi? Or are you? So this is where all of the evidence that is here, like I said, there's a smoking gun of social engineering that is a result of the systemic racial, environmental, and industrial racism and genocide upon, in particular, the Ganyagahaga of Ganawagi. They attacked us. They're attacking us still right now. Remember when they attacked us and kidnapped our children and brought them to the British Church Nazis concentration camps on native children? Remember that? That was real. Remember when they sent the smallpox infested blankets? That's real. It's not something of, oh, that's a couple of 100 years ago, or forget about it, like the white people, the white man is good to us now. Come on. Get your brain in functioning order and understand that Ganawagi is targeted, socially engineered to suicide ourselves. And if we don't suicide ourselves, then all the neurotoxins and poisons all around us will just poison us into where either it's going to be a cancer, or it's going to be something, an illness or something that's going to take us. We will not be here for the determined amount of time that we're supposed to be here. So if you're supposed to be here, say from 7 o'clock in the morning till 5 in the afternoon, well, this is shortchanging that you're only going to be there till like 1 o'clock. It's actually shortening your lifespan. And when you think if your lifespan was supposed to be, just for instance, like say, 10 feet long, and your great grandchildren coming, your children coming behind your children might not even, you might not even live to see them now. So that means the overlapping of elder to younger in our society, it won't be there. So social cohesion is dwindling. It's disappearing, which means collective wisdom, knowledge, our identity, who we are, what we are. You already see it disappearing in Ganawagi. It's already gone. So Ganawagi Rona, you got to pull a rabbit out of a hat and you got to take action. You cannot stay in your status quo. No, it's not that you got to be doing something that's active, say every day, you know, whatever, but by each of us, if we came together in the Ganyagahaga Land Defenders and took an action collectively, then, well, at this time, it could be Curry doing this thing for 2 hours out of the day. And then another time, it could be you doing it for 2 hours out of the day. So it's not a constant upon one person. It's not a constant pressure or whatever. So we need a collective front, a common, a common collective pushback to this social engineering that Ganawagi is a victim of. Social engineering coming right from the head colonizer, Britain, because all policies upon Native people come direct from Britain, the same way that the smallpox infested blankets did, the same way that the British Church Nazis concentration camp on Native children did, what they call residential schools. Again, I will say, anybody watching this, if you refer to those concentration camps on Native children as a school, you are a retard. You are actually facilitating the systemic racial genocide of the Native people by continuing to give false reference to something that kind of sounds kind of good. Hey, it's a school. It's if. Those were not schools. Those were internment camps. Those were torture facilities. Those were the ovens where they killed our children. So get your head out of the white man's dark ages of war and remind yourself as to who we are and what we are up against, and that we are fighting still in defense of a 500-year-long war of systemic racial genocide upon not just us as Ganawagi or Ono here in Ganawagi, but as all original peoples throughout Turtle Island. And the fact is the band systems are compliant. They facilitate it. They are, as what you know, or what you might know, as within Nazi Germany and the concentration camps that they had on the Jewish people, that there was Jewish people that worked with the Nazis to make sure that all the Jews collectively were not able to organize. They called them capos or capos. Capos or capos, I'm not sure of how they pronounce it. I know how it's written. That's what the band system is. That's what the PKs are here in Ganawagi. That's what the courthouse is here in Ganawagi. Because all those children that went to the survival school were all radicalized. They were all ushered direct into Warrior Society House. And again, you tell me this isn't true, that almost every male in Ganawagi had an AK-47 before they were 20 years old, while they were still teenagers. They had an AK-47. And for anybody today, you might think, hey, that was good, that defended us. Hey, that's not good. That's a conditioning of the mind to think that, well, what can you do with an AK-47? What would you do to use that in defense of the systemic racial genocide upon us? The only thing you can do is use that to shoot at somebody. Who the hell would you shoot at? Once you're in that game, you lost. The moment that people were socially engineered into radicalization, picking up a gun. They were finished right from there. And when you consider what happened during the summer of '90, all the people who went and fought, or supposedly went and fought, they all ended up in court. And all the ones, especially that fought against the army, supposedly, like it was a military action on the island when those two choppers flew in. I think there was 3 of them. I know we were on the bridge, we seen 3 of them coming. That everybody there who fought against the army, they were all fed via the Warrior Society to Joe Norton's lawyer, Phil Snyder. And Phil Snyder had them plea bargain in Long Hill, had them all plead guilty, but they got absolution. They were granted absolution, but they all pled guilty, which means that when you're fighting the army there, that tells you that, hey, this is like one sovereign nation fighting another sovereign nation's army, military. Is that what happened? No, because then they acquiesced to municipal court levels, which meant that they gave away nation identity. But that's how their minds were radicalized at the 207. And again, when you think of it, that they had John Curut there to work on the minds of the young ones, to make them pliable, on top of how their minds were pliable already because of the Swiss cheesing of the brains with the lead poisoning, ushered right into the radicalization at the 207. That's precisely what Philip Deering did back in the early 70s after the riots here in Ganawagi. Ask the guys here in Ganawagi. Let's see, who would know that? Darren McCumber, Wudgel Lazar, Ray Barnes, and others, Kenny Deere, Mark Lahash, Kenny Deere, what am I saying? Kenny Deere. Kenny Lahash, Mark Lahash, Lester Norton. Don't yous remember? Isn't that precisely what happened to yous through Philip Deering ushering yous into a false belief system? This is how they came and attacked the minds of our children. So, yeah, everybody's got to get involved. And if you don't, well, we're going to continue pushing it. And for me, what I see is that, well, we can't actually push it in court. So we're going to push it in a different area. We're going to create a legal document and not send it to their court. We're going to send it direct to their government and tell their government to take action. We're going to do a mass mailing, but not in the mail. We're going to go direct to Ottawa, and we're going to go hand deliver to every MP and every senator. We're going to hand deliver it to the Supreme Court. The same thing that we did with the brief on the residential schools. So this is what we're going to do. And we're going to identify a price for everybody in Ganawagi. Now here, I'm going to throw this out right now, and we'll be getting feedback. So I'm starting off from saying that any person that ever went to survival school should be given what's the word?
Compensated.
Compensated. $5 million each. Every person who ever went to school, at the survival school, for every year that you were there, $5 million each. And that isn't a buyout. That's the cost of for the rest of your lives, as to being able to have to go to testing, having to deal with all the diseases and illnesses, the cancers and everything that comes about from this. So everybody in Ganawagi, whoever went to the survival school, we're saying $5 million per year. So if you went there for, what is it, 5 years, 4 years? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 5 years? Then we're saying for you, $25 million. And then around the area that is exposed also, when you think down 9C, then also for there, a certain amount, of course, there we'll figure it out, maybe, I don't know, maybe half, say 2.5 million for every year, but that will add up for more because the people who live up there are exposed to it for more than just 4 or 5 years. They've been exposed to it for 40 years. So we're looking at a massive, I won't say lawsuit, but a massive monetary compensation claim that we're going to present direct to the government and say that if you do not comply with this, then we'll take you to court. But then, if we have to take you to court, then we're going to go for 10 times the overall amount. So, if there's anybody in Ganawagi that disagrees with this, or if you agree with it, then you need to start putting your 2 cents into the picture. You need to start taking action on this. Like I said, we're going to do it anyways. So everybody in Ganawagi, regardless, should be compensated to whatever degree, and we'll figure out, say, like a sliding scale rule, like, okay, you get 25 million, you get 1 million, something like that, depending on the location, the exposure to children that go there, whatever, so on and so on. Your family members, you got to take care of them, and we got to start looking at behavioral patterns. And this is something I know that's really going to touch a nerve in Ganawagi. We start looking at behavioral patterns of people who are fighting into their adulthood, who just end up in bars all the time and just keep fighting, or who have whatever, some kind of like mental associated issues, like within mental development. So it means we got to be brave to look at ourselves and to say, yes, this is what happened, and that's why we're going for this much compensation. So what I'm looking at right now in Ganawagi, I'm looking at that this not lawsuit, but this mass compensation issue. We're looking at well over $500 million. Well over. Because it's social engineering that they're doing on the whole community. Because everybody was affected by what happened the summer of '90. The summer of '90 they pumped the children out from that survival school, radicalized them so that would happen. When you look at all the people that were on the island, even throughout the whole summer of '90, you're looking at people from 25 to 30 years old, the majority, 25 to 35 years old, the majority of them. By 1990, knowing that the school was there for 10 years, that's all the people who were radicalized and participated in that social engineering scheme to divide and conquer Ganawagi. If you don't see the truth of this, then you're fighting against us. You'll be fighting against this move that we're making. So either you're going to fight with us on this or against us. Why would you fight against us on this? Everybody in Ganawagi should be coming out with their pitchforks and their torches right now to demand the monster be dealt with. Okay, I don't know if Curry, if you got anything else to say on this issue. If not, I think we can move on from it.
Well, basically, minus a few areas behind the Mystic Pines. Um, Basically the whole community has been affected. The 207 area, OCR, the North Wall on the other side. Like I said, 200 feet from the edge of the territory on the OCR, Saint Isidore, Saint Catherine's, Saint Constant. It's everywhere. So how far it stretches, we don't know as of yet. But Terra Pure is mass pollution. So there's
Yeah.
mass affected.
When we look
It's
at this, we can see it as an attack on all of humanity. We can just say, oh, well, it's a byproduct of the economy. Well, the economy is built on what? Destroying the environment. So all of the side effects or exhaust of it is going to amplify the initial act of destroying the environment. So this is not a byproduct, it's a design. It is designed to attack not just humanity, our planetary species. So when you think of the complexity of when we say our planetary species, that means elephants, rhinoceroses, little birds, everything, the worms in your garden, the plants that'll grow out of your garden because they're already growing into infection of it. They're not pure any longer. Even the seeds, it's like as if we've all been GMO'd. And how they're GMOing us is through lead contamination, which is only one small part of the general overall attack and assault upon all creation through the non-natives' practices of so-called economy.
and I'd also like to
It,
say that we're focusing on the lead, but there's more to it than the lead. So one thing at a time. Um, like as usual, I go up and beyond for the things that I do, no matter what aspect. Um, there's other things there that are making us sick. So
yeah.
that's gonna be that's gonna be revealed as soon as we get more our numbers together and A, B's and C's and whatnot. But other things I'm pushing to be looked at also. So like I said, there's the
Mhm.
chromium, vanadium. So among other things, to name a few. So go.
Yeah, what we can do here from Ganawagi, knowing that in the white man's world, they can't do jack shit about any of the pollutants that they're doing. Anybody could see, yeah, they're pouring raw, whatever, direct right into the rivers. They're dumping into leach fields that get pumped right into the rivers eventually. So anybody could see that. But out there in the non-native world, there's nothing they can do about it. Legal action? No way. It's got to go to class action suit, and those things take decades and could just even dwindle. If there's nobody there to keep the pace up, and if there's no funds, whatever. So outside they can't do anything. Here, Ganawagi, we can start a worldwide pushback as to what again is the poisons that are being pumped into the environment that is not byproducts of the end result of doing this kind of economic activity. It's the design. So Ganawagi can be the model to push back everything worldwide, all from lead right up to nuclear power and everything in between. We are the only ones that have the power, the ability to do this. And so, first, it comes from talking about it. So talk about these things with your family. talk about it with your children. If you're gonna pull your children out of survival school and explain to them the reasons why. Start, if you can't, then ask your children to look it up and to see how lead transfers into the land, soil, waters, and then how it's transferred into the human and what it does to the human. So have this conversation. Have it at your dinner table. Have a conversation if you got kids in survival school or grandchildren. Have that conversation with them. All right, so yeah, we can go on and on because the importance of this is never ending. The protection of our children, of our people, is not going to end with we say stop cutting down that tree. They stop cutting down the tree, and we can rest assured now that there's nothing to worry about of our children. No way. We cannot ever rest because don't forget, we are the ones who know first colonization, which is an abomination of humanity to come upon our people, and then smallpox infested blankets, and then the British Church Nazi concentration camps on native the children that they call schools, and then from there the social servicing of our people, where they will come and take your children away from you if you don't have your children in that school, demanding that you expose your children to it every step of the way, from smallpox infested blankets to the Ganawage survival school. It is all an evil web. It's the path of the serpent. That is the path of the serpent. So we can see it from the past. Well, it's a thing of the past, eh? Who in Ganawage even remembers or even knows any of the stories of when smallpox hit us? Do you know those stories? We know those stories in the Longhouse. What it done to the people? These things are conveyed in the Longhouse. But your average person out there, I bet you nobody in Ganawage ever knows anything of any story of when we were hit with smallpox infested blankets, except for what you pick off the internet. So for you, it's a thing of the past. It might be there in the past in history, and you don't think that history is a current reality. Again, it is the path of the serpent. And the serpent is right here in Ganawage right now. It's not something of the past, and it's not something of what will be. It's something of the here and now. And this is where your children need you the most, where your people, your line needs you the most. Get off your lazy behind or whatever you're doing and forget about your petty angers and hates towards each other, and focus on protecting and defending our faces yet beneath the earth. This is our agenda. Not all the little internal in squabbling. This is the design, the desired outcome of that social engineering. And everybody, start using that terminology, social engineering, because that's what the Ganawage Survival School, being placed on top of a neurotoxin sludge pit of lead infested land, water, air. That's what it is. It's a design. It's social engineering. So make sure you start to incorporate that in your vocabulary, so that whenever you're talking to anybody about explaining what Ganawage is confronted with, that they'll get the true the true depth, the true degree of what Ganawage is being confronted with. Ganawage is strong. There's no stronger place on earth. This is the reason why the focus has always been on Ganawage. And as you know, within the white man's world, when there's a problem, how they work with things, they don't fix the problem, they throw money at it. And so Ganawage has had billions thrown at us When you think of since the early 80s, just with the cigarette industry, up to $4 billion a year flowing through Kahnawake. Hey, wait a minute, let's think about that over 40 years. Wow, how much is that? That's 400 billion, even beyond that? Wow, where's all that money? How did it benefit? How did it make Kahnawake prosper? Not one bit, because we got a school sitting on top of a lead neurotoxin sludge pit. So we didn't benefit at all. It was all social engineering inflicted upon us. So get it right, identify the things proper, so that when you're talking to anybody, that you get the true oomph, hit the true pack the true amount of energy behind that punch that you need, that's necessary to get through that thin layer of stupidity that the rest of the world want, or not just stupidity, but denial that the rest of the world wants to stay in. Okay, unless there's anything else, anybody's got any questions or anything, or anybody wants to present anything? If not, wow. There's something then that we want to address about what? Is there somebody there?
Serge raised his hand.
Okay, Serge, you got your hand up? Let's go to Serge then.
Bonsoir. Chicken. I'm Serge. I'm just wanna ask for the 11th May about the school. The teacher have asked me if it's possible to do this the morning.
Do what in the morning?
If we can do for the display, the presentation, if we can do it during the morning, not the afternoon.
Oh, yeah, I guess I don't see any reason why it is just to refresh my memory. Is that a live thing or is it a Zoom?
Now live. It's a live thing. It's at the school. And we have discussed a little bit with the teacher, but now I'm waiting after the commissionary, the school over the school, and
the school district.
Okay, thanks. And the teacher asked me if we can do it during the morning, because in the first time we have asked for afternoon, but for him it will be easier during the morning, and I'm waiting after I'm waiting after the school to finalize at all.
Okay, I'm pretty sure, but here it depends on where it is, the distance, if we gotta drive, if maybe we're gonna have to maybe sleep overnight, I don't know where. So we'll communicate in the emails. You send communicate with either Edith or Angel, and we'll be able to determine yeah, how we're gonna do that. So Edith, or Angel, are we aware? Do we know
We
where?
both are in touch with Serge for this, yeah, and it's actually very close to where Angel lives, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's the high school I went to. C'est à Polyvalente Le Boisé, Serge?
Oui,
Yeah,
yes.
I went to school there.
Oh yeah, well, how far is that from us? Like, it's not driving distance, like we're not gonna leave at 5 o'clock in the morning, get there and do something for 9 o'clock. So we would probably have to at your place, Angel.
Yeah, no problem. It's 2 hours-ish away from Ganawagi, and like consider traffic. That makes the difference sometimes, but it's if you come at night because it's a Monday, May 11th, it's a Monday. So if you come on Sunday night, there's no traffic, you should be okay. It's 2 hours away, and I'm maybe 15, 20 minutes from the school. And I
Okay,
have a day off to make sure I'm available.
okay, so then, yes, we'll say right now, Serge, yes, in the morning. We can lock that in. It'll be for the morning time. We'll just stay overnight at Angel's place, so we'll be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. It's not like we'll be driving for hours and we'll be like dead tired when we get there. So, yep, the answer is yes for the morning.
Okay, thanks a lot.
All righty. Well, that was good, simple, easy business right there. All right, there's something going on this Friday.
Someone else raised their hand, Stuart.
Oh, okay, go ahead. I can't see.
I don't know his name though. Oh, go ahead. MMM's iPhone.
Oh, I don't know. Is that audio live already?
Yeah, we can
Yeah.
hear you.
Okay, perfect. So my last name is Brandt, son of Michael, grandson of John. I do believe Kanawaki is our natural reserve, actually. It's been a while. I was on your Longhouse meeting about 2 years ago. I spoke a little bit about health stuff, a little bit about law stuff. Just want to touch base on the health stuff because I know that this lead thing's actually really bothering a lot of people, especially in the Longhouse right now. So going back about 8 years now, I've been dealing with a lot of ailments for family and friends and whatnot. And what we've been doing is we've been using frequencies, sound, right? Because everything is pretty much sound. And I think it actually goes into the traditional teachings for a lot of native tribes, actually, too. So beyond herbs and medicines that are natural. So when it comes to lead and damages and all these other heavy metals, toxics, pollutants, even chemicals they're spraying on fields and whatnot right now, we're seeing really, really good results from using frequency generators. And it can be done at distance with people. So I just wanted to share a little bit of the information. So when we're dealing with sound, the universe it's all one thing, if we want to look at it that way. So for an example, for sound, if I drop a pin on the floor, it makes a sound, and we're in these vessels, these avatars, if you will, where we can't necessarily, and we don't have the ability because our ears won't pick up that sound, but it still makes a sound, and that sound is heard everywhere. And so if we can focus specific sounds and specific patterns, we can actually cure things or detox things even. So for example, I know I'm in Saskatchewan at this time. We have our family homestead out here. I've been sending letters here and there to Stuart and a few others so that people kind of know what we're doing with our farmland and what we're trying to do eventually here is to give it back to the clan mothers. That was the plan, and that's still the plan. Nothing's really changed there. We're just trying to coordinate that and then work with the Life Givers Nation. But anyways, when we get back to the sound stuff, so for example, they're putting fluoride in the water here in Saskatoon, where my sister's at right now, which is who I'm visiting. And so we can actually run a certain set of sounds, and you can see the puddle of fluoride come out in your urine. So we've done this with many, many things already, including lead, and you will end up through feces or urine or even sweat pushing these things out of you. Now, getting the toxics and the pollutants out of your body is one step. That's not going to cure the damage that fluoride would do to your pineal gland, for example, or lead might do to an organ. But those things can be regrown, and I've actually seen this myself. So I'm gonna bring up 3 stories here real quick. I'm gonna ask for about 10 minutes just to talk. I was in Alberta in 2022 before I actually came to the Longhouse to talk. And I've been working with the frequency generators for about a year and a half, 2 years already. So we were I was learning how to homestead because I'm trying to revert our land back, which is on its 5th year now of cleaning up the land and pushing the chemicals off of it. To learn how to homestead, right? How to live off grid and how to do all these things. So when I was on that farm, I had a lady that had invited me out there, and she's very small and she's older. She's in her very late 60s now. So, anyways, we were in the goat pen, and one of the goats rammed the side of her kneecap and snapped her ACL muscle, 92% tear, I think they said. She had barely anything left holding onto that muscle. And so what it did is it balled up, all of her muscle snapped, and it was a ball of muscle at her ankle, and the rest of the muscle was just under her butt cheek. So tough lady though. She had fractures. The kneecap was completely, it smashed the cartilage right out of the kneecap, is what they said. So from a distance, I used a fingernail, and once a month I would go visit her for about 6 months. I worked on her with this frequency generator, and over the next 6 months, what I watched happen, I couldn't believe, was watching her her leg regrow the muscle in 6 months. And she, like I said, she's almost 70. Very healthy lady, a lot of grounding and all those natural stuff. She's a Cree lady. So we actually went and got the medical records done in Wetaskiwin, Alberta at the time, about 6 months later, where they confirmed that the muscle had already grown 75% back, and she had regrown cartilage in her knee. They couldn't find the fractures in her kneecap or in her bone. And so it was a real eye opener at that time for me to see that, like, that's a big thing. Because right now, when you go into the medical system, they'll tell you that you can't regrow cartilage. Once it's gone, they cut your leg off and they give you a plastic one. So that's the first example I have. The second one is just one of my sister's friends had cancer. And the mind's a powerful thing too, right? So your beliefs really matter here too. But she'd been going for her second set of chemo treatments at that time. And what we found is that after I detoxed her for a few weeks, we ran the cancer program. So this was where these frequency generators started in the 1920s under Dr. Royal Rife. So we used the frequency generator on her for about 2 weeks, and then she got called in by her doctor to go for chemo testing because they wanted to set up, the amount that they're going to put into her blood to, what they do is they set the amount of chemo accordingly so it doesn't over toxify your blood and kill you immediately. And what that does is that wipes out all of your immune system, and then you go from 0 to 100 is what the purpose of chemo is, but it wipes out everything. It doesn't just wipe out cancer, right? And so there's a reason it only has a 3% success rate. Sorry. So she went in for her testing because they wanted to make sure, that it wasn't growing too fast or whatnot with the cancers, and they couldn't find anything after 2 weeks, right? And so we got the paperwork for that. I know she did get it. We've never asked for copies of her private medical files, but we know that it wiped out the cancer in less than 2 weeks too. And then the final one that I want to talk about has just happened a few weeks ago. So I'm just going to show it on TV now so you guys can see what we're doing here. So what I have here now is I'm just going to take it off. Give me a second.
I gotta walk up to the screen to see it.
Yeah, I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to light it up for you. So what we have now, it's called, I'll try and get it on here. This is called a Halo. So what this is a personal sound device. These just hit the market last year. What it does is it uses peptide programs. I will provide some on the Facebook group today after we're done the meeting. I will put in the comment section where the information could be found for these things. So what that little device is on my neck is it's called a personal portable scalar device. So when we talk about frequencies and sound, the best kind of sound and the purest sine wave you can put yourself around or in you is in a scalar field. Now, some of the devices on the markets out there are like up to $10,000, and then they're quite large usually. Like I said, this is a newer product. So what had happened about 3 weeks ago is I went and bought one of these devices for my sister. I wanted to test it, but I borrowed it to my mother-in-law at first just to have her test it because she was having aches and pains, just getting old, right? She's in her 70s and whatnot. And so it took her a day to get rid of all the aches and pains, all the arthritic pains. Another day, she was having trauma because her husband passed away 2 years ago. my girlfriend's sister passed away 3 years ago from an ailment that's in their hereditary lines. And it's an extreme one. So I let her borrow it for about, like I said, about a week. And then she called me and she said, "Hey, my friend just got into a really bad car accident in Saskatoon. And she's like, can I borrow your device to her? They did surgery on her. And can you come and help me talk to her?" And so we went over there. The lady's name's Alice. And what they'd done is she got T-boned and something had, it plunged into her stomach. So they ended up running her to the emergency room and they cut out about a third of her stomach. And then, she's already 74, I do believe. And she was only a very small lady to begin with. So she was only 110 pounds to begin with. In the next week or so, she dropped down to 71 pounds. And that's kind of when we came in on the scene. So my mother-in-law, my girlfriend, and I went over to see Alice there, and we got her in the house, and you could feel good energy in the home right away. Like a lot of, I know I'm going to get better, but very bedridden already. Basically pooping water. The stomach doesn't have the ability to heal and to, solidify foods and whatnot. So we gave her one of these portable devices, and I got a call like not even the next morning, and already she was pooping solid. And then the next day she started running it for other things and muscle growth and whatnot. So it's been about 3 weeks now since Alice got one of these devices for herself, and she's already gained almost 30 pounds back. They told her she was going to die. The nurses can't even believe. I don't know if you've ever been in a hospital to see bed sores on the back of somebody's leg or whatnot, or around their butt from not being able to get out of bed. But when you get blood sores, it's one of the last phases before you die, right? And so they were almost gone in a week with this device, and this doesn't even have some of the things that the frequency generator does. So January 21st this year, the company that I'm using for the generator is called Spooky. And Spooky 2 has been out there for quite a while, but in the last 8 years, they've been doing some developmental testing on peptide programs. So peptides are what we would consider when you look at it's basically proteins and polyproteins that hold all those minerals together in your body. And with peptide programs, because they become worn out over time, this is where we start seeing ailments basically. And so these proteins, you can inject them. That costs lots of money to go through doctors. You can also use frequency to create them. So anyways, I wanted to bring just a little bit of this information forward and just kind of talk about my own experiences. I've been doing these programs now on many people. I've traveled now. I was just in BC for all of last year showing people. I'm not selling anything. I'm just sharing information for free. I've gone about even setting up the generators and showing people how to use their computers and how to chain programs together and whatnot for the last about 6 years now. And so I know it's a big thing because it's about detoxing your body first, especially with the lead and all these other things. And mainstream's not going to share this because it takes away from the emergency field that should never have gotten into the field of preventative medicine, because that's not what doctors were ever designed to do. But yeah, I just wanted to share that today, that we are seeing these machines, like the single generator is $500 about Canadian, and these personal devices, which can be shared within a home, they go for around $800 Canadian now, delivered to your house. But I just wanted to bring awareness of it because I know that the lead thing is one thing, right? You can lobby, you can do all these things in law, you can send letters, and you're right, Stuart, it is going to take time, especially if it goes into class action. You're talking a decade or two, right? And so, and you might not even see much, right? Because they diminish the value of these things within their court systems for their benefit, right? So, but it's about helping people get healthy too. And so, I just wanted to share that today with you guys. And then, even online, I've been able to teach people how to use these things. Well, one single generator, you can clean up a whole family, just one at a time, one after another, and wouldn't even take long, even just to get detoxing done. So I'm gonna
Hey,
use.
thank you so much for this. I know that when people start talking about frequencies, it's kind of like some people when they talk about crystals and stuff like that, automatically some people will think, oh, this is some new age mumbo jumbo. But the reality of vibration, of course, this is undeniable, the power of it, the effects that it has, because when we look at, anyone can see online, there's been tests or experiments where you see like a water faucet with water coming out of it, and then they turn on a certain frequency, and you see that water adjusted instead of it just coming straight out of the tap like a gush of water. It takes on a shape. And if you adjust the frequency, then the shapes can be adjusted. So the reality of vibration is not something to like discard and to say or to think in our minds, oh, come on, new age mumbo jumbo stuff. No, it is a reality. The only thing with it right now, or the shortcoming, is in humans who are so conditioned into the medical industry and mainstream medical, that the mainstream medical does not endorse it. So if they don't endorse it, it's like it's not real medicine. It's not real healing. Real healing is a tree. Real healing is a bird that you're going to see, or a bird that you're going to hear giving a certain song, and it's going to make you feel good, and that's going to heal you. Maybe not going to fix your broken leg or something, but it's going to heal you internally. It's going to heal, release your stress. And when all of that is okay, your whole immune system can then flow more freely to affect rapid change, rapid healing, rapid growth of, say, like a broken leg or something like that. So what we need is an education into it, and it needs to be localized. So like you said, for a family, for a group of people, for the longhouse, for an organization, have a frequency generator where people can just come up to it and hang on to it, or just be around it, or be within that field for a certain amount of time, and to get slowly adjusted to the reality, once again, of vibration, because vibration, number one thing it affects is water. We're 100% water. So yes, I agree. I hear what you're saying. Edith wants to address this, so if you hang on 1 second here,
Oh, yeah.
Edith's coming to it.
Yeah, hi, it's gonna go.
Hey.
My name is Edith, daughter of Soco, granddaughter of Panchita, great-granddaughter of Celsa from the Zapata, born in Mexica territory, and under the protection of the wolf clan here, and temporary representative for the Biodiversity Nation for the wolf clan as well. And it's so coincident, it's gonna go that you're talking about this today, because years ago, Stuart, his son, another life giver that is an Innu, and her son went across the country. They went all the way till the Pacific Ocean in so-called Vancouver, and that's how
Well,
they.
we only made it to Golden.
Oh, okay.
Golden.
And they
Oh, snap.
rekindled with a
Yep.
with a family that is the Mind family, that we very coincidentally reconnected with from their family in an environmental racism session from the government of Canada that we attended on very recently. But long story short, we have been in touch with the Kukum of the family, and she's been really sick. And in her family, there has been really tragedies. Like, for example, lately she lost 2 brothers from different causes, and she had to travel to the US because one of her brothers was living there. So she's very weak. And for what I have been trying to gather of her health is that it's really something more like what we would say in the spirit realm, or maybe in the multi-generational stuff that we have been carrying as Native peoples that sometimes we're not even aware, but it's like carried in our mitochondria, in our like cells information. So I think that this would be completely, something that she's open to all kinds of medicines. Of course, she's like kind of like stuck in the medical system because that's kind of like the only resources that most of them have there. But my question would be if you would be willing for me to connect her with you so that you could
Yeah.
maybe talk to her and like show her and maybe tell her where could she get that, and like just to get the conversation going, because I think that this is and I mean I could also talk about my own family and my own dad who might even like benefit from that, because definitely frequencies and anything that can transform our vibration, because we're being bombarded by so many things, right? Like we have the 5G, we have like all of the waves. So our system is constantly bombarded. Our nervous system is on the top all of the time. So we cannot even sometimes just take the time to chill and relax and let our body just repair by itself. So frequency repairing is something that could totally help. A parallel note, I met many years ago a guy that builds something that's called in Mayan Inkus Utap Chek, which is exactly what the Australian Aboriginals, for better word to describe them, know as the didgeridoo. And if you go to certain places of the Mayan temples, they have images that the guys, for example, there's a person in the middle, and then there's two guys, one with the towards the back and one towards the front, giving frequencies to the person in order to heal. And this guy that I met years ago, that I'm also like acquaintance on Facebook, he's been working with institutes of research as to what are the types of frequencies, in the musical scale and all of that, to be given treatments for different ailments in the different organs, because each organ has, of course, their own frequencies, all about that, and how to recreate the tissues and get rid of cancer cells and stuff like that. So maybe I could also put him in touch with you, because I know he goes sometimes to the US because he's very search for that kind of therapy healing. So yeah, but all of that being said, my main question is about our mind family Kukum relative, if I can put her in touch with you. No.
Okay. So first off, when I traveled over the last 3 to 4 years, my sister is very well aware of my travels to Mary, just so everyone knows Mary. So in BC, I actually have a group that's set up already to help people. I think we just on Black Mountain alone, right next to, it's closer to Golden. Golden's very close to Alberta, but anyways, I think there's like 6 frequency generators right there. And even for myself, I would, if I get a fingernail and a phone number, that's all I need, because you can heal somebody across this plane anywhere on this planet by just having a fingernail. Lasts about 30 days. That's enough to get treatments going. Some of the things, so you're talking about sound with the Mayans. It's funny because when when I started my journey back in 2018, when our uncle passed away, um, one of the things I found out was, first of all, the Mohawk stuff, and going into the traditions through a friend that runs a trust society down in Arizona. But what he told me to go do is look at our family lines, and so he said something's weird. Like, this is what's going on with our family is a little different. So I did the research on the Mohawks, which I already knew a lot about from our dad's side, which has got its problems, obviously, with Oka, like you were speaking about there, Stuart, earlier, that Oka incident in the 90s, and going forward and all this stuff that's happened. But on my mom's side, I found something even different. So Sister Ursuline is a martyr from the 1500s, and she started the Ursuline Sisters, which is to this day, it runs parallel for the women and the nunneries to the Vatican. And so all of the women in my mom's side, up to my mom's generation, were Sisters of Ursuline in Saskatchewan here. And so we're in St. Peter, which is a really weird name for an RM to begin with, let alone for it to have that number 369 attached to it, which is just a numerical value of wherever it's placed at that time. So what we found out about the Sisters Ursuline is that they used to create the stained glass windows for all the churches worldwide for the Vatican Church. And people never ever went to the same church twice. What they would do is they'd go from church to church looking for the right symbol on the stained glass of the front of the church to tell them what the tone of the bell healed. And all of this information's been lost over the decades. So you used to go to church to give praise and thanks. And when we read in the Bible, and I'm not an advocate for religion, period. I think that spiritual and Gnostic is probably the way to go at this time. But when you look at the Bible, it says faith without good works is dead. And somewhere in there, we just started praying for people to get better, and then we walk away and we never take those steps of good faith. So when we're talking about these stained glass windows, it was basically telling you people would go from church to church, they would give thanks to the Creator, and then they would be healed by the bell's tone. And if it wasn't the right bell, they wouldn't go to that community church. And people would travel pretty far to go to church on that Sunday. So as for getting in contact, I will I think you guys have me set up somewhere. I do have emails with Stuart, I'm pretty sure. And I think you guys, like Stuart, if you're still holding that letter that I sent you with the tenancy offer from our family, my sister, my brother, and I, for that piece of property, that's very valid what that can do for you guys. It is attached to those mineral bonds, just so you know. It's not in my hands. I can only convert it with so we're still running the Law Society too, just so you are aware, but those can help with that water stuff. Those bonds are very old and they're attached to that land from 1876 before Saskatchewan was a province. However, anyways, I want to get back to this health stuff. So with the health stuff, I just need a fingernail from your Cookham. I think you said it's Cookham, right?
Yeah, and she lives in Mesquishish.
Okay, I'm never going to be able to say that one. Neck questions? Anyway, so
Pasquachis, it's right outside Edmonton. It used to be called is it Wetaskiwin?
Oh boy, I don't know.
it's funny how the places that I've had to go seem to always keep coming back to me. So yeah, Wetaskiwin's like between Calgary and Edmonton. It's like right in the middle almost. It's east of Red Deer. Anyways, so all we need is a fingernail. I can get you guys an address to send that to, and then I would have 20 days to start healing stuff. But again, the best thing to do is to teach people, right? And the reason I brought up the Halo today is because the Halo, it is so user friendly. I took my time this year to make some money, and then I bought my sister one. She's been using it. So even with these vaccines that recently came out in 2020, and I'm not going to talk too much about things that people think that they're doing, because some people aren't injured and some people are. And I think that has a lot to do with your beliefs, because if you think you're dying, and that's it, right? And so I felt that with Alice when I went into her house too, is that she's like, I'm not dying, right? And so giving her the Halo is just another way to get those frequencies that we need for us to really amplify how fast we can heal. But my sister's been doing really well too. And, whether or not you took any of those things, it's not like you can't detox them out. It's just they don't want people to know that, right? And I've seen it firsthand where I'm not going to use names, but there was a 22-year-old girl. She took a few of those vaccines in 2020, and her period stopped for almost 2 years. And then I ended up having to live with her for a few months when I was in BC. And I ran one day. I just ran the frequency once on her, and she started getting her period. It was like, it's not something you normally have to talk about, but I mean, it caught her off guard because she wasn't expecting that, right? That a sound can detox that out of you, and all of a sudden your body starts going back to the way it should be. So for my sister, she also took those, not a big deal though. So we detoxed those out of her, and what we noticed with her right away was weight gain. And so we detoxed that out of her, and then we just ran, detoxing programs, get, the fluoride out, the leads, all these other things. And now over, what was it, like 3 months, you lost like 80 pounds, 90 pounds? Or something like that. Hey? So we got her to go back to kind of where she was pre-COVID, and now we're working on that. And I've actually noticed since I put the Halo on her neck, and it's only been 2 weeks, I think so, about 2 weeks now. She's like, I can already tell she lost more weight again. So it's bringing health back, it's bringing vitality, it's bringing energy, it's bringing all those things. And for the price point and how easy it is to use, I think it's definitely the way to go. But it's not even the sounds anymore. As of January 21st this year, John White is one of the majority stock owners of Spooky 2. He's the one who invented the Halo to have this personal device available for everyone. They came up with the peptide programs finally. So if you know much about peptides activate your stem cells. But just a copper peptide can do that, but it won't do it fully. And so in the human body, I think it's like 36 natural peptides, but we can have these designer peptides, which is just a very specific set of frequencies and sounds hitting you in a field or off the plane of the earth every 0.3 of a second. And when we take sounds and we do it very specifically and very precisely, the sound in a certain sequence, what we find out is that it's like putting the key to the lock of a disease. You have the actual key now, because it's like you said, Stuart, with the bird or standing next to a tree has a sound as well, right? So by touching that tree, it could give you a frequency you need, or just by grounding to the earth, which it touches everything. You're getting all those sounds at once, but your body doesn't know what you need. And so what we're doing with these generators is we're telling your body what to absorb and what to ignore, right? But when we're talking about these synthetic sounds that are done in specific patterns at certain amounts of time, every half a second or whatever it is, we're talking peptides now, right? And so when we get these peptides and our body can absorb and it knows which peptide to use and how to activate these sounds, we get really, really fast healing. So I guess for one example is I wanted to test, I do test a lot of these things on myself. So one of the first things I tested when these peptides came out, January 21st this year, is I tested out the detoxes. And I'm not even kidding. I was pooping water for 2 days and I had to kind of counteract it because my body wouldn't stop flushing all of those toxic pollutants out of me. Right. So I wanted to slow it down, but it was just so fast and accurate that I caught me off guard. And I thought it was just me at first. I'm like, well, it's like February, maybe I'm just getting the flu, right? I started doing hot yoga and it's cold out or whatever. So my girlfriend tried it too. And it was the same thing. Her body just started flushing everything out right away. And so we had to run a different program just to kind of stabilize things up. But I do want to share this information. And as for your family as well, yes, I gladly help. So we can get you a phone number. We can get you an address to send a fingernail, at least start there. And then I'm teaching people still how to use these things, right? So you just need a basic, any laptop and a generator, and you can already start healing many, many people all at once, even just detoxing them, right? So for example, right now I have 2 double generators that I use in Saskatoon area right now, just myself, and I'm running I think 14 people right now. Plus we're getting people going on these halos, and we're just seeing so much all at once, and it's almost like a flood because people are starting to turn to alternatives because I think they're realizing that the medical system is just how they sell their synthetic drugs, right? And so you got to look outside the box sometimes to find the real answers, because sometimes in the box it's just about how much money you can make, and that's all.
Well, you know what? Just on that alone about the medical industry, you know that a lot of people today are not seeking medical attention because of the cost. So people are poor, so they just naturally think that, oh, they can't afford it, so they don't even bother going. So it's a mindset that's created in the individual that actually, if you need medical attention, it's like it prevents people from seeking medical attention. So when we think of the cost of everything right now, that there's this like a wave going right through the entire so-called economy that's geared towards billionaires. Yeah, more billionaires and a lot less normal people. So this means access to medical is not there for people. So things like this is what people will turn to, will experiment with, and again, it's not new age. This vibration frequencies, this is not new age stuff. This is not something that was discovered all of a sudden. This is from the beginnings of time, right from the time that we were in the bellies of our mother, and it's our mother's heartbeat that was soothing the baby. And a mother just quite simply holding her belly and singing to her baby. That vibration is the what humans are made of. We're made of those vibrations. So when we get the right vibrations, then that's going to make us feel good. And if we feel good, again, even if we got a broken leg, maybe it's not going to heal our broken leg, but it'll just cause things, the domino effect, to heal faster. It might not be right there like you see a doctor fixing your leg, but by having this vibration within your system and healing and soothing you, then the byproduct the is the healed leg. So okay, from here, yes, we'll go in communication between yourself and Edith and Angel. They got the contact, so from there we'll share everything. And also, just to mention that our good friend Tracy Bone, when she was here, she's a musician and she performs and she sings and she presents frequencies. When she was here a couple of years ago, she was talking to us about frequencies that even if you don't believe this, the fact is, the scientific fact is that industry, government has altered the frequency levels of all audio and video that was broadcasted. So it was altered to be a certain frequency, whatever, I don't really know that. That isn't like a natural resonance, like a natural vibrant resonance.
That's the Rockefeller family, and it's the radio. It's in the patent, and it went from 432 hertz, which is natural, to 440 hertz. So now, even when we use, so I see a lot of videos on YouTube and stuff where they say, "Hey, play this sound, and it's gonna help you with your emotions." I'm not saying it doesn't. What I'm telling you right now, though, is in the patent for your speaker, in the patent for your computer, in the patent for anything making sound, they have to run 440 hertz. It's a distortion of the sound. So you're not getting that nice sound that you actually need. It'll still help you, but it's not doing the right job, right? And you're right. It's in the patents. I've been doing a lot of studies. You can ask my sister over the last 6 years, whether it be law or health or anything.
Hey, let me ask your sister, is it true? Has he been doing this over the past 6 years?
Arnie?
Have I been doing that?
Yes, yes, he has.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it's been quite an eye-opening journey. I mean, I was a scaffolder for 15 years. I was married for 21. Everything fell apart in 2020, and it had a lot to do with that farmland that I've been kind of working with you and hoping to work with the clan mothers on about what's really going on there in St. Gregor, Saskatchewan. But it's another issue for another day, and I'm not in a rush on it. And I'm sure you guys are fine too at the moment. But this is about healing and sounds at the time. But yeah, I completely let everything go. I thought I knew a lot in this world. You know, I was an A student going all the way through school, everything. And all I realize now is that I really got indoctrinated pretty good because I really knew how to repeat it back and mimic it back to them. And that's all that we're getting in the education system. We're not actually learning anything anymore. It's just repeat and rinse until you can regurgitate what they say.
Well,
It's the
right
same
now,
thing. Nope, go
as
ahead.
you know, the whole academic world is dependent on a cell phone. You got to have your iPhone or your cell phone or something, and that's going to link you into the school or whatever. And now, students, everybody, it's like information that we would get in school in the past, it would lodge in our brain. We put it away in the library in our brain, but we're not doing that anymore because we go to our phone now. And it's like a false compensation within us. Education is no longer in our brain. It's no longer in the fiber of our being. Now it's in our telephones now. So
I just seen down in Texas. I know there's a lot of stuff coming up with law here, and people really got to understand exactly how you're using identification as a proxy in law to put yourself into a voluntary position for taxation and everything else, including this is what your band council is doing right now, right? So when you go look at what UNDRIP is doing, it's exactly what it's doing. There's a reason that Trudeau and his family went and financed all these reserves to have band councils back in 2017, I think it was, right before COVID stuff. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to pass and you're seeing it in Vancouver right now. So they're giving back land to the native tribes. They're calling it tribes, but it's not. It's the band councils, which are under representation, which is, and I put this up tonight in it's called ipso facto. So Ipso facto is because, okay, so Quebec never agreed to the Constitution, which made the Constitution invalid in Canada, because they've always been under civil law or French law, which is ipso facto. And the only reason that you are, and everybody in Canada right now is under ipso facto law, under a de facto corporation, is because your name's on the voter roll. And that's exactly what they're doing with your band council, Stuart. If everybody removed their name just from the voter roll, you guys can go and create a proxy or an actual corporation to go over the longhouse, an actual corporation that is a ghost, just like they're doing. And now you can take representation from that longhouse and send those letters to the government. And now it has weight. So we've done the same thing with our farmland, right? All I did is create an at arm's length way to control the contracts. I don't own the land anymore. Nobody owns land. Anybody in the world who actually does anything to do with contracts will tell you don't own anything, but you have the right to move titles. You have the right to. That's the only rights you have in that system. It's corporate. It's commerce. It's everything that we don't want. But it's the only way for everybody to know who owns or has control of what, and that's it. But it's the same thing that's happening with all the. I've gone right across Western Canada right now. I lived in BC for a whole year last year, and it's everywhere now. And so what they're doing now is through United Nations powers, they're lobbying the government of Canada to use this UNDRIP to pass it to, and we saw this in Vancouver, to use UNDRIP to pass land titles to the band councils. And now what they're saying in BC is that, oh no, we don't own the land anymore, and oh no, we don't. We're gonna have to pay taxes to the band councils now, and it doesn't matter where you live, anywhere in Vancouver, right? And the title never had possession of the land. The title's just a jurisdiction where they created rules for the land that it's attached to. But I'm going to guarantee you right now, if you own a piece of property anywhere in Canada or US and it has 0 buildings on it, go and try and get a mortgage. You won't get one because the title doesn't attach to the land. It's just a way for a jurisdiction to have control over the land, but not actually of the land. And so when we talk about Native peoples in Canada, the land was never ceded. And I don't care if you spell it SEATED or CEDED. It doesn't matter because they never took the land. They just put a jurisdiction over the damn thing, and now we're playing in that. And we don't need to. What people need to realize with law is that when we're talking about titles and how they move, you're not supposed to have that thing in a corporation's name that you borrowed and now you're pirating. You're supposed to give that back to the goddamn public representative to take care of you for it and put a contract in behind it. It's called trust law.
What we're identifying to everybody, or what we've been in for a while, is that right across the board, all these issues that you're talking about and everything else is subjected to or affected by, initiated by an overall process of the second wave of genocide. So the second wave of genocide is, the first wave was colonization. 500 years, it's been happening for 500 years. It hasn't ever changed. Colonization never stopped. But right now, we're in the second wave. And the second wave is to stop everything that is natural, everything that is the way it's supposed to be within creation. It's to stop it all. There is something out to stop our entire planetary species. But anyways, hey, look, we can go on and on. We'll connect via the email with all that information. We'll save this discussion for another time. We do have to move on. So right now, I'll say, Nyawagoa, thank you so much for everything that you shared, even showing us that device, the Halo, because I heard about it. I haven't had opportunity to talk to anybody who's actually used it. Now, you telling me about your experience with it, it makes it that much more real for me, and this is what people need, is a slow or a gradual or even a quick return back to natural things. Even if it's a device, it's still working on frequency, which is a natural flowing thing. So it's something that is going to work its way back into mainstream. It's just a matter of, how open-minded we are and not to get caught up into things that they say of like new wave, utopian. As soon as you hear utopian, you say, the hell with that. That's nonsense. As soon as you hear new wave, forget about that. So a whole set of beneficial things are automatically just like we're turned off to it automatically because mainstream doesn't like it. So to hell with mainstream. We'll continue our conversation on this Nyawagoa. We're gonna have to move on. We don't want to be here too late tonight, so okay, so Nyawagoa. There's one last thing that I want to address. Edith's not in here right now, so give me 1 second. I gotta get to my computer to share something. And I'm actually gonna read it from here. It's a message that was sent to me by a friend out west back east that used to have contact with us like, my goodness, like 30 years ago or even more than that when I was a kid. So just give me a minute. I gotta go to my messenger. Okay, just to protect her, that I don't want to show her I don't want to show her message or where somebody can contact her. So I'm just gonna read it off. Okay. Okay. This was sent to me yesterday. So it says, "Good morning, Stu. I come to ask for help. I have been having times where I'm scared. I can't stay alone, like something keeps spooking me. Terrifying. I have smudged and cleaned my home, and it's still happening. I have had a pipe carrier come clean and smudge my home. I don't have no one to turn to, so can you please tell me what I can do? All my relations. She tells me I'm this person's daughter. It's an old friend of ours from back east. We used to come up there when I was growing up to visit your parents. I cry on a daily basis. I'm 70 years old and have never been this frightened in all my life. I don't know what it is. I spend a lot of time alone. I get company once a week if I'm lucky. I pray to the Creator every day to help me. I also have an aneurysm in my stomach, which the vibration frequency might help here. I have an aneurysm in my stomach, the main artery. They won't do surgery on it. Okay, so I responded to her. I'm going to read it off. I will address your issue on tomorrow evening Zoom, which is right now, with the two-row wampum working group. I won't let anyone know who I am talking about, but it is very important that others hear the subject and the discussion, because it is a sentiment that many life givers are experiencing right now in response to the worldwide state of our mother. She is shuddering and sends those emotions into every life giver on earth. The ones that are connected will be able to manage and process the message into positive action. But if the life givers do not have the men who will comply and conform to the message, then there will be a backup within those life givers, sort of like a constipation, a backup. It would almost be like a feeling of, oh, I actually did write that. It would almost be like a feeling of constipation, but a spiritual constipation. You must have men who can process your message that you receive into the right and proper manifestation. If not, then the life givers will feel shortchanged and in an urgent situation that you will then feel helpless about being able to do anything about the discomfort. I tell her, I am not a medicine man. I only know enough to take care of myself, so I cannot advise on your physical condition, but I would use Honornordo. I think it's what is commonly referred to as sweet flag. Okay, so this was the conversation, the message that this uh, life giver sent to me. Like it said, she identifies she's 70 years old and to be having these feelings now, but she also identifies that she doesn't have that many visitors, she doesn't have that much interaction. So if you don't have that much interaction, then you're limited into who you can share your experiences with, what you're feeling, what your emotion is. So if you don't have like longhouse atmosphere where you could speak to a young person, an old person, someone in between, this or that, like to even just bounce your ideas off. If you don't have that, then it's pent up inside of you. So first and foremost, it's important for all of us to be with like-minded people that you can just have conversation with, to say, oh, gee, I seen this beautiful bird this morning, whereas if you go to work, it's not the kind of thing you're going to say, gee, I seen this beautiful bird this morning. People at work might be looking at you like kind of weird, like, yeah, and those are the people who would think, oh, new age stuff, yeah, and shy away. So you need somebody like-minded that you can have discourse with, conversation, that you can share your ups and downs with, like if you don't have a husband or wife or even a friend. So here is an elder, to me, 70 years old. I'm only 63, so she's not far ahead of me. But if you don't have anyone as an elder to address these things, address anything with, then it's going to be pent up inside of you. And especially if you're processing all of the negative that's happening in the world. So first and foremost, she is a life giver. It's not a 70-year-old man, it's a 70-year-old life giver. So this means she, like all life givers, are picking up the vibration, the frequency that is being emitted from our Mother Earth. And if you're getting punched in the face, then you're going to emit. Not that the other person is going to feel your pain, but out of empathy, which Elon Musk doesn't want you to have, you'll empathize, you'll feel the pain, even if it's not in a direct physical way, it's in like a supportive way. Like, yes, I understand and I feel sorry. What could I do for you? Like sympathy and all of this. Then this is where human healing, human interaction comes in to heal the other person, to help, even just at least ease the pressure of that person not having someone that they can speak to on this level. And you could have dozens of people around you. But if you can't speak to anyone on the real levels of humanity, of spirituality, or other real things, if you can't speak to any of those dozens of people that are around you, then you're going to be as alone as somebody who's hidden in a cave somewhere. So first and foremost, everybody needs to find somebody who's like-minded, to be able to share with, even spend time with. Doesn't necessarily have to be your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your husband or your wife, if you don't have anybody. It could just be somebody that you meet with, to talk, to have a cup of medicine with, to sit there and talk with them for an afternoon. So, like, almost like we have to re-establish like mini longhouse structures amongst the people. Like for the people in this neighborhood, the people in that neighborhood, the people in your family, your group of friends, whatever. So just to get a more focus attention on these types of issues, because I emphasized to her that with all the war on Mother Earth, all the murder of life givers and children, you know that mama is crying. And when you're a kid and you hear your mother crying, do you think you're just going to keep playing? If any of you ever heard your mother crying, I can't remember if my mother was ever crying, but I know that if I heard my mother cry, I wouldn't keep playing with my dinkies. I would go to my mother and say, "What's wrong?" And I would feel hurt inside for my mom. And so even though people around the world are disconnected from the realities of creation now today, you're still exposed to the pain and the suffering that Mother Earth is being inflicted with right now. And so this is the number one thing that life givers are receiving, picking up right now. No matter where you are, a life giver anywhere on earth, you are picking up, you are receiving with your receiver. You're receiving the transmissions from Mother Earth, and it's her pain. It's just like if you got a cut on your arm and there was something like a little microbe close to that cut, it would feel that. It would sense there's something wrong there. And it would empathize with you, and even try to work to help heal you, as what friends should do, as what like-minded people would do. So number one thing right now is isolation in the world since the pandemic thing, the made up from the World Health Organization, that phony pandemic that went around the world telling everybody to not to go see your mother when she's in the hospital dying, not to go to a funeral. And if you do, you can't even sit next to the people who are mourning, and you can't even sit next to them and soothe them and comfort them. So we've all become, well, not we, but the non-native world has become disconnected from each other. It's like, you know what it is? It's stem cell therapy. Because if you're aware what stem cell therapy is first, in order for what they call the therapy, they got to kill all the cells in your body. That means your body is made up of you, every cell, every trillions of cells of you. They actually kill all the living cells within your body and replace them with somebody else's cells. That's stem cell therapy. And these stem cells, of course, where it comes from is when women, life givers, are giving birth, you're automatically today you're ushered into the medical industry, and you think, well, you see a nice hospital room with a nice bed, and maybe there's a plant in there or whatever, and you think, oh, that's a nice place to give birth. Well, the giving birth isn't just about the act of bringing a child into the world, because there's more than that to it also. There's your placenta, there's the afterbirth, there's the umbilical cord. And in the hospitals, they usher you into that to make you feel comfortable because of what they steal from you, what the medical industry steals from you. And they've litigated within every government on earth that this is the legal process. You can't do nothing about it. That you go give birth to a life giver goes give birth in a hospital, they're stealing your placenta, they're stealing your umbilical cord, and they're taking that and they are profiting off of it millions, hundreds of millions of dollars in the stem cells that come from that placenta and umbilical cord. And then they put it on the worldwide market. And that way it tells what all the makeup is, the genetic makeup. And then it sees maybe somebody in Budapest, for instance, has a match, and they're going to do stem cell therapy on them. They'll send your stem cells from here. They'll make millions of dollars off of it. You get nothing out of it. And they're sending your stem cells into an abominative process of stem cell therapy. And so this is what's happening to the world. The last 5 years of pandemic has been the world has received stem cell therapy where we've all been disconnected from each other, and then they inject some kind of new cells, something new that none of us recognize, that none of us are. And within the individual who gets stem cells, anyways, they start to have experiences, psychological experiences of other people's perception of who they get the stem cell from. So anyways, there's that aspect in the stem cells that is affecting humans right now collectively on Mother Earth, that we're separated from each other and we don't recognize each other any longer. And a lot of people don't even recognize themselves and don't even recognize what's happening to them. And when they don't know what's happening to them and they can't speak to anybody about it, then there's like a fear, a worry, a concern within the individual. As you heard that with this 70-year-old life giver, that she cried. Well, if you were Mother Earth and your children, your daughters are getting killed on a daily basis by male dominance, by the complete abomination of white, British, non-native European warmongering activity, then Mother Earth would be crying every day. And if you were connected to her, you would then be crying every day also. And so this is what life givers are experiencing around the world right now. But because you don't have anyone to talk about it to, anyone to share it with or bounce your ideas off of them, like to say, how about if I stand on my head, see if that gets rid of it, that kind of stuff. If you don't have anybody, then you're just left in your own non-understanding of these emotions. And you can't even call it emotion. It's the vibration that you're feeling. It's Mother Earth's emotion, not your emotion. It's the emotion of Mother Earth's pain and suffering of knowing that her daughters are getting killed. Her children, her grandchildren are getting killed as children. This is disrupting the balance of all life on Earth right now. So what the white British non-native Europeans are doing for thousands of years of waging nonstop male-dominant wars, the victim is always the life giver and her children. To steal your sons away from you, to turn them into monsters that will grow up to actually work against you because they become religified. And in the religification of them, well, male is the boss, and Ma, who gave birth to you and loved you and fed you and everything for you, she's becomes the secondary. Like if you're a male growing up in the non-native world, the importance is on you. God is you. It's not your mother. And the males then take on a persona or a personification of misogyny, of being against their own mothers. When that happens, the mothers are, maybe you don't even have to put your finger on it to say this is a physical problem, but it causes physical problems in you. There was a friend of ours, tiny little girl in Quebec City, a very small girl. She probably weighed like about 100 pounds. And her son was joining the military. And she didn't want her son to do this. It was breaking her heart, causing stress upon her, causing conditions of where she would even be, that she would be by herself during the day and cry because there was nothing she could do she's got no authority over her son in the non-native world. And so the males just go on, continue in their stupid insanity, splitting the sky of the life givers. And so this is what this woman, this 70-year-old life giver is experiencing. I told her I would address it tonight. She might be watching. And so if you are, that, of course, it's not just this, it's all of this plus other things. But this is at the core of every woman on earth right now. And if you are feeling something that you don't know how to describe, so it's causing emotion in you, that it's, you know, that it's not your emotion, but you're subjected to it, you are experiencing, you are receiving the transmissions of Mother Earth. And she is in a very bad state right now. So when you feel this, the healing for you to heal, or for you to heal from it, is to take action based on that transmission that you are receiving. So again, if you have somebody around you that you can talk to about these things, then you can conclude together that, well, this is what it means. Maybe you're going to discover in your neck of the woods that there's something happening to the land in particular, something happening to the water that you might go to and resonate your frequency to help that heal. So you would then be responding to the transmission of Mama to you, and you will be reciprocating the love that she has shown and given to us to heal her. And this would help you to heal, help you to take away those feelings, the sense of aloneness, or even crying, or because it's a sense or a state of helplessness. Life givers around the world, what can you do? Donald Trump is bombing women and children, genociding, and looking for war in every country, no matter what. Lift this stone over here, we're looking for war. Well, if we can't get it there, we'll go lift the next stone and look for war there. Women, life givers, mothers around the earth are completely helpless to this. They can't do nothing. Their sons won't listen. As you see, that even in the so-called US military, that there was a statement that some senators or congress people made a couple of months back, of saying, do not comply with illegal orders, something along those lines, and look at the hell that it raised. The system came down on them when that is actually a legal, how would I say it, like a legal provision within the so-called international rules or terms of engagement. Imagine how crazy that is. The white man has rules for war. So anyways, so even within there, it's identified that you are not to carry out illegal orders in warfare. So the fact that they're coming down on the people who said this tells you that it's like your sons cannot listen to you at all. Your sons are overpowered by some large witchcraft in this world that has them fighting and killing other women and children. So when we think of that, all the life givers together are our mothers, what these young people are doing is they're killing their own mothers. They're killing their own younger sisters and brothers, their own little cousins. They're killing their own. They're cannibals. That's what they are, cannibals. The people who eat people. Okay, so there's that I wanted to share. There's one last thing I'll share with you. It's about something that's going on this Friday. So give me 1 minute. I gotta find this on my Facebook page again. Where is it? Okay, almost there. Here it is. Share. Okay, so Friday, we're going to be in this emergency worldwide peace initiative. Now, some of you may know, if you've been with us, you may have heard about this. Just to give you a rundown on this image right here in this poster, this is at the World Social Forum in 2017 here in Montreal, and you can't see, but there was a ton of people that were present. And this woman right here on the left in particular, her name is Natalie Kessler. She's been involved in the United Nations for decades on many different levels, and she knows many different groups connected to it. And she has been pushing for decades to try to have a some kind of peace initiative, like some kind of movement of peace within the United Nations. But forget about it. You're not going to have that movement of any of the nations that are within the United Nations, because the United Nations was created out of war to manage war. So they are all warmongers, all the nations that are part of the so-called United Nations. So you will never have one of them, any of them, actively engaged in a peace initiative. So this is what Natalie discovered after so long, banging her head up against a brick wall. So I don't know when it was now, maybe a couple of years ago, she came to visit us. She's in France, and she was displaced as a child from South Korea and adopted into a family in France who were within the United Nations. So that's why she's been all her life involved within the United Nations. So a couple of years ago, she comes here when she heard that my father died, because she met him at this event. And so she come to pay her respects at my father's grave and to talk about the beginnings of this peace initiative. What has taken now maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 years for us to get to this stage of even just talking. So last month, I think at some point we had some initial meeting, and it was determined that every new moon, so 13 times a year, there will be a gathering in this worldwide emergency peace initiative. So it's going to be this Friday at what the heck time? I think it's, hey, we don't have the time on here.
It's Natalie that made the poster, so it says 6 p.m. from Paris, so it's 1 p.m. our time.
Okay. All right. So 1 p.m. our time, what we're gonna do is we're gonna just go into doing a Zoom. I'm gonna stop sharing this now. If anybody wants to see it, it's on my page, and if you can, please share it. It's not about me. It's not about what we're doing. It's about people around the earth. Everybody is desiring peace, or at least desiring not the current circumstances. And they may not know they want peace, but if you don't want the current circumstances, what the most of the world doesn't, then the alternative is peace. So there is a science to peace. There is steps of how we got to this stage of where the world is at war. All that in this day and age, 2026, you think we're living in the future? It should be Jetsons time, that cartoon about the Jetsons from the 60s. You think we'd be living in that time now, and everything would be so advanced that we would have done away with war by now. But within the non-native world, war is their way. It's what's always driven them. It's their religions. It's what is behind every war, religion. And as long as they got their religious beliefs, they're going to be stuck in this vicious cycle of war. Their religion tells them, oh, be nice to each other. Let's love and peace, be in happiness. But then Their religion is what is behind every war. So every human on earth is stuck in this vicious cycle that you cannot get out of. You, no matter where you are, if you're here in so-called Canada, you're a taxpayer, you're paying to wage war, to kill people. Now, you may not want that, but that's what you are. So it is imperative to give an alternative to what the status quo is right now. And so there is nobody better on this planet to speak about peace other than the people who have achieved peace for over 2,000 years within the only way that you can achieve it is within a matrilineal society. Male dominant societies, democracies can never achieve peace. Never. It's impossible. Now you can say, oh, there's more than one way to skin a cat. No, there isn't. There is only one way to achieve peace. And people can say, oh, well, we can do it this way, that way. Non-natives just do not have the ability to conceive of the pathway to peace. You may think of, we want peace, but you do not have the ability to conceive of the pathway to it and then apply it and to be able to walk down that path and to make peace your way. It's not there within the systems of democracy. The system of democracy is anti-peace. It stops you from acquiring or achieving that which you desire. And as long as the world is not at peace, absolutely everything that you do, even the person that you think you're in love with, it's not true. Because you can't be in love while there's war being waged, women and children being killed. If you think you're in love, well, you are very naive to the way that the living world works. So, very important meeting, gathering this Friday. It's not that we're going to be identifying or laying down the scientific steps of how all of this is going to happen. We're coming together first just to come together, just to bring our minds together. Just as some information here in Montreal and Quebec and throughout Canada, I'm sure that some of you have heard of the Raging Grannies. Okay, so one of the Raging Grannies contacted us a couple of days ago. All of a sudden, it's in their head. Now, we've had contact with them like, man, I don't know, 20 years ago, if not more than that, 30 years ago. And the Raging Granny that contacted me knew me from 30 years ago. She was already one of the Raging Grannies. So maybe no, she's like a raging ancestor granny or whatever. But anyways, coincidentally, she contacted the other day saying that she's got this idea, this desire. She wants to do what Raging Grannies do. They give concerts and stuff like that, events, for the purpose of world peace. And we said, hey, we're involved in this thing on Friday. And she goes, what? Well, yeah, anyways, crazy coincidence. So there's going to be representatives there from the Raging Grannies. Big deal, you know. But the thing is to get groups, people, families, clans, nations together just to start talking about a concerted worldwide initiative, emergency initiative of peace. So, for instance, the Raging Grannies are going to be doing little concerts this summer throughout Montreal. We're going to be there doing the opening with them, combining with them about this effort that we're working on. We're going to do a live feed with Natalie Kessler and different groups that are part of this initiative at these different events, just to start building the network. So it may not be anything like, say, solid constructed, you know, but it's kind of like a blank sheet. You put dots on there, and then we connect the dots. And then from just a straight line, then we can start to put contour to it, shape. It'll start to take form. And so this is the initiative that we're going to be in on Friday. We hope that anybody that's interested, will join us. Don't join us. Join the movement for peace. Get involved in the discussion. Come and say, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a little group at my work or a little group of my friends who are going to just start talking about peace as the alternative to war. So if you can come and say that this is what your initiative is going to be, that's what you're going to do, then it's going to be spreading out. Like I said, it'll be taking form. So yeah, wow. Okay, that's it. Nothing else. Unless anybody's got anything else to say, which I'll urge strongly not to right now because I gotta close this up now. I'm getting tired. So we're gonna close up now for tonight. We've addressed many things and all of it is connected. The lead issue is connected to the frequency issue. The frequency issue is connected to the state of mind issue. The state of mind issue is connected to the peace issue. So it's all connected, everything. It's one big ball of wax, and we're working continuously in every area, in all ways to connect all of these things together. And so, yeah, Friday. It's decades in the making for Natalie. It's her whole life in the making, which I don't want to say how old, maybe her whole life, 30 years, I'll say. Even though she's a lot older, but just to just to say it's her whole life's work. And this actually is my whole life's work also. And each of you, whatever your participation is, it's your whole life's work also. So let's make our whole lives works together mean something, carry more weight than just one voice, carry more weight to where eventually the voice of Mother Earth will speak once again, and to speak to her children and say, stop your ways of war. Return back to peace, love, and harmony. Return back to being human. Okay, so blah, 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 so on and so on. We're going to close up now, which means I'm going to close off for the song. Okay, let me fix my sound for magicians. Hey, where's my glasses? Hey, where'd my glasses go? Oops, it's the wrong sound. Original sound for magicians, right?
Yes.
So now we'll go, everybody. Don't listen to me. Just look at the world and you tell me, does the world need an emergency worldwide peace initiative? Don't listen just because I'm saying it. Don't do it because I'm saying it. You could hate my guts, but do you disagree? Is the facts any different? If you hate my guts, if you're my enemy, which I don't have any enemies, but I got a lot of people who hate my guts. So it is the same for you as it is for me. We are all confronted with the negative effects of thousands of years of non-stop war in the non-native world. Somebody, somehow, somewhere has to get this under control. If you're on the Titanic and you see that the whole ship is heading for the iceberg, somebody on that ship has got to get some kind of movement going to get up into the control room and to stop that crazy captain, to affect moving the direction that the entire ship is going so that you can save everybody and avoid worldwide catastrophe. Worldwide Emergency Peace Initiative. It's got to happen not only on the worldwide scale, it's got to happen in your house. Start talking about it in your house. Oh, we are.